Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ is Lord.
Hello and welcome in. Let me make sure the mic's working, actually. Looks like it is. Okay, perfect. Hello and welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate. This time we're going to do a bit of a different show. Cozy Crash Out, I think is what I called it, I do believe. Mitchell Black, thank you for the super chats early. Real Wigga hours. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much for that. I want to do something a little bit different, actually, a little bit more of a combo stream today. We're going to talk a little bit about news, but we'll largely be reacting to a lot of stuff in the second half window of the stream. You saw a 3-hour shift. I'm going to plan to go for 3 hours instead of the normal 2, actually. I have a good bit of stuff to react to as well, but we'll get into the bit of the news at first. I changed a couple of the microphone settings so I can speak to it a little bit further away, so I don't have to be like on top of it. But if any sound issue occurs, please let me know. I will adjust accordingly. And appreciate seeing you guys. YouTube Enjoyer 40 Wide, 40 Deep. I actually love that username. Ugats, Ronnie Chapa, Mitchell Black, Vanilla Gorilla, and Ugats again. I believe we had some other people earlier in here too. Hook was in here as well. But a lot to get into today. And I'm sure many of you are probably confused seeing and following the news as of today. It's kind of been a bit of a back and a forth with the ongoing elements of the Iran war, which we'll get into. Welcome to the Iran War Reloaded. You know, we're like on part 2, Act 2 of the Iran War. It's going to begin. Looks like the hostilities are set to resume. That's kind of the main story today that's going to be getting talked about by many people, with a few other notable stories involved in that too. But it looks like everyone was expecting, and they were looking at the flights for 2 different sets of individuals. There was eyes on both the Witkoff and Kushner envoy, and there was also eyes on J.D. Vance. And they were set to leave and depart this morning. I believe Witkoff and Kushner were set to leave this morning. I'm less sure about when Vance was set to leave. But they're actually all at the White House. And there's no negotiations happening. And Iran, as of like an hour or 2 hours ago, put forward that they will not be resuming the negotiations. And so it's a little bit more back and forth. You know, the war is over. The war is over. Ronnie Chapa says that Trump just put out another extension a few minutes ago. That's crazy. So it looks like it's getting updated in real time. Which is funny because Trump had said low chance of an extension being put in place. And also earlier today, both the leading report, breaking report, and a few others also put forward that Iran is set to, or forgive me, the U.S. is set to invade Iran. And so I'm sure that we are getting ready for a lot of things to begin happening. And there's a bit of confusing elements there, but really the big story is the fact that the individuals set to negotiate aren't going. All of them are actually at the White House right now. And in addition to that, there's also a couple more figures that are showing up to the White House today. That includes, Hegseth, Rubio is also going to be there, and I believe it looks like almost an entire cabinet is at the White House right now, probably getting ready for a debriefing of some kind, I would imagine, into the update of what's to come, with the more of the Iran war beginning to kick up again. And I believe Iran also issued a warning to all of the Arab nations as well, saying get out of the area. I believe they specifically said the Strait of Hormuz, ships that are near the Strait of Hormuz need to evacuate first, otherwise they will be destroyed, or they will be attacked first, something to that effect. And so obviously this is a bit disappointing, given the fact that most people were led to believe it was on the downwind, because if you were a MAGA or on the Trump camp, you had the thought process that they were getting ready to wind down and Trump had it all under control, and that actually is not the case. But if you're listening to this, you kind of knew that was always the case. That it's always been a little bit outside of the court of the United States. Not a good thing by any means, but it is the objective reality of what's going on. And so I do hope for the best. Obviously, I hope the conflict ends as soon as possible. But it looks like the path towards that is just simply not on the table. Another story in that same realm of the Iran war is one that kind of caught a bit more of my attention because it speaks to, I think, a bit more of the actual realities that are happening behind the scenes. Now, this claim came from Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson, a former CIA analyst. I don't even know what he does now. He's probably just he goes on shows and talk shows, but I believe he was on with Judge Napolitano. I can never say it right. I just say Judge Nap. But he was on with Judge Nap, and that's when he pushed the claim that there was some emergency White House meeting that took place, and it was in this emergency White House meeting that General Raisin Caines supposedly blocked Trump, and he's using these terms colloquially, but he blocked Trump from accessing the nuclear codes. And so Newsweek and many other outlets put the story forward today. And there was other evidence, I think, aired by Judge Knapp later on in the episode, I believe when Larry Johnson wasn't there, but it showed like it was General Raisin Caines again, but like he was walking out of the White House looking like defeated or his head hanging. And so, but the reality of that is that's the only source. And even Newsweek put in the article that they couldn't even independently verify that the footage of General Raisin Caine was of that day or around that time, even of the meeting. And so there's a lot of claims going around. And so that one obviously being picked up by a lot of people. And the problem partly is the fact that most individuals are simply headline readers. And a lot of these accounts, like these news aggregators, like a breaking report or Raw's alerts or a leading report, any of these kind of different accounts, they all suffer from the same problem, which is they generally just repost the headline of the story. So I would imagine many people probably just saw, Trump tried to get the access codes to the nuclear weapons and was denied, and like that's kind of their thought process. I'm more so kind of questioning if there's any reality to that claim at all. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not very familiar with Larry Johnson at all. But I do think being on Judge Knapp gives you a bit more credibility than if you were on Fox News. I think that's just how Judge Knapp rolls. Again, Judge Knapp being formerly with Fox News, but I do not believe he's a part of the Red Sea Ventures or any other kind of under, Fox Corp. I believe he does run his own YouTube channel. The question then becomes, is nuclear warfare on the table, though? Is this even a premise that's being talked about? Now, what I find to be very particularly not concerning, but actually goes against that we're going to be using nuclear warfare, is that James O'Keefe got another, he honeypotted another individual, but this individual specifically, and I don't have the data in front of me, but it was a U.S. nuke chief by the name of Andrew Hugg, was actually recently escorted and is now under investigation because he was caught in one of these OMG videos. And what he says is pretty interesting. And this is what I want to take you guys to this post here. It'll be the first thing we look at. Let me pull it up on my screen over here. People might have missed this. Yeah, real Wigga hours. What's crazy is like my thing is so big. Oh, I changed it the other day. Forgive me. I need to actually... I should have adjusted this. Apologies, guys. It'll take 1 second to switch over here. You got it right here. Okay, so this is what I was referring to, which is this post here, but I need to make myself much smaller. Josh says, pause. I see everybody in here. Let me make myself small again so you guys can see what's going on. So this is James O'Keefe. This is the post that he put, and he's actually quote tweeting his post from previous, about a few hours ago. So this is the update, actually. So it's like, looks like hours later, this is what happened in reaction to this 14-minute kind of breaking video that he published. And it says that the U.S. nuke chief Andrew Hugg was just escorted out of the Pentagon around an hour ago. Hugg has been placed on leave and is under investigation. Below is the U.S. Army's official comment on our new investigation. And let me get rid of Mitchell Black, although I do appreciate the super chat. And this is from Cynthia Smith, the U.S. Army spokeswoman, who says, quote, "We, the U.S. Army, have placed Mr. Hugg on administrative leave while we conduct a thorough investigation into this matter." So to go to the actual content, though, of what was supposedly leaked, he has the quotations here from O'Keefe, and O'Keefe makes it pretty simple. We don't even really need to watch the video, but he has some of the best quotes right up here. So this is the kind of the breaking report coming out from OMG here. So I think that's what it is, right? OMG Media. I don't even know what it stands for. I used to know. But he says, breaking news. Top U.S. nuclear chief caught leaking sensitive national security information to stranger, which is one of O'Keefe's guys, reveals Army chemist was exposed to U.S. chemical nerve agent, confirms U.S. strike killed children in Iran, and discloses U.S. plans to kill Iran's new supreme leader. So he has a few different quotations here, but he says if he, speaking about the new, the son of Khamenei, the new supreme leader, doesn't change his ways, yeah, they're going to kill him, referring to the U.S., the government, the state. Another quote he pulled here, the easiest way to get intelligence, send a pretty girl, talk to the guy. I have to resist your eyes. So it looks like he in real time, it's like you, like the girl he's talking to, it's like you could do this, right? You seem like you're the type of person who can get intelligence out of somebody as he's literally leaking intelligence to this woman. Another quote, your eyes have memorized me so much, almost like you're an intelligence or honeypot. And then O'Keefe's post goes on to say that Andrew Hugg, a U.S. chief of chemical nuclear surety, was caught on hidden camera casually revealing sensitive information to a stranger in a public restaurant, which is the classic MO of OMG and just Project Veritas. Andrew Hugg, the chief of chemical nuclear surety, in charge of nuclear and chemical safety, was caught on hidden camera releasing information regarding U.S. nuclear information, which I would imagine that's got to be an immediate permanent ban, like perma-ban. Like, it's funny how you use that term, but he would probably definitely get fired. And I would imagine, additionally, after being fired, he would probably get permanently banned from even being allowed back in to the government. I mean, if you leak information, I would imagine that you automatically are like blacklisted for the rest of your life, can't ever come back to government. You would think there would be something like that in place. So we got to get a few more people in here. We appreciate it, guys. Seeing everybody in here. We have Josh is in here. Smelly Balls is in here. Alt Companion's in here as well, too. I haven't seen Alt Companion in a hot minute. I see in here, man. Terra Farmer says, you people are fighting a war for mongrelized creatures like Obama and others like Ilhan Omar so they can get military contracts. At this point, I think we're fighting for Greater Israel, which will be the entire globe at some point. Terra Farmer also says, while your white blood is being spent over decades not taking Iran or Afghanistan, repopulating it with white people, that's what the point of war is, taking land for your tribe and keeping it. Yeah, seems to be. Oh, we have Zeb Boykin in here as well. Nice to see you, brother. He says, Fortnite stream when? We could do as early as this week if you wanted to, bro. I got the PS5 flipping around here. I have the gaming switch set up, but I need to actually set up the scene for it. And Amanda Love says, do better, men folk, unless you are Jewish. Interesting. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. And we have Donnie Brook in here as well. Appreciate you, brother. It says, up, boys, we will do better as soon as women shut up and go home, which is true. So true, King. So true. But speaking of, we will actually have a story. Less than maybe a story, but more so just a moment, a defiant L, if you will. Mary Morgan from Tim Pool's cast of Ungodly Creatures called Timcast IRL. Mary Morgan had this post that I've not seen a ratio as bad on something like this. It's political kind of, but it's maybe more so cultural. We'll look at that. And again, all these things kind of connect to each other because these are all kind of major figures in the space. But back to the post here, Alice OnlyFans when. That's funny. Never. I like how I wear a sleeveless shirt and everyone's like, dude, wow, like, are we doing OnlyFans over here? No, listen. This whole thing was labeled cozy crash out because the temperature is getting warmer and we have cats. And unfortunately, I have extreme cat allergies. And for whatever reason today, I'm going to be honest, I have been pissed off all day. I have been, not even pissed off, I've been irritable all day. Because every itch turns into a blotchy red spot. I'm itching for 20 minutes. I'm having all these if people have allergies, they'll relate to it. Mine are aggressive. I don't choke out or can't breathe, but my skin gets extremely irritated, and it makes it hard to sit still when you're feeling like that. But regardless, Catboy on the fan is funny. That's funny. But in addition to this, I'll continue down the post, going back to this one about the nuclear leak. He also acknowledges that the U.S. airstrikes, and again, probably referencing the school, have killed children in Iran, calling it, quote, collateral damage. And he also revealed to the journalist, the honeypot, how nuclear launch decisions are made in real time. Hugg described how the United States could assassinate Iran's next leader if he, quote, doesn't change. While admitting the U.S. has no plans to use nuclear weapons, we're not going to nuke anybody. So that's the part I wanted to marry to the earlier stories, looking at the Iran war reloaded as we're coming back to the scenes, because again, those two kind of stories are a bit contradictory to each other. On one hand, you have someone who's high up ultimately, but not in the cabinet, being brought into the highest level of inner circle meetings, that would be closer to General Dan Keynes. Although the way it was reported and talked about in some of these stories, even Newsweek commented and says, depending on the process, there really wouldn't be any chain of command where General Raising Keynes could unilaterally block President Trump. It would have had to have been like a and they didn't explain, and I don't understand the process myself, but just to be objective with you guys, here you have a nuclear chief saying, no, we would never use nuke. We're not going to use nukes. He's like very confident in that. But what he is putting forward is the usage of a biological weapon. And so therein, we realize there is actually a step between ground invasion and nuclear warfare. And perhaps we probably should have actually been entertaining this from a lot earlier, given the fact that we do have, Agent Orange has been a thing for a while, but we also do have all of these other weapons that were used. I mean, even as recently as in Venezuela, right? Venezuela, and there's been, I think people have given it different names, but even during the invasion in Venezuela, there was reports of this very unique weapon that was used that was very disarming. It was like making people vomit and throw up, which is very similar to the Havana Ray, which I believe that's where it occurred initially. This is actually maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago now at this point. But there was supposedly some microwave ray, that was used on some people in Havana. And so perhaps maybe there is some kind of path or channel here that is, they are going to explore using something that is not a ground invasion, but also isn't a nuclear weapon, but also could still be classified as a weapon of mass destruction, or maybe the delivery device or delivery capacity will be in a way that keeps it from being a weapon of mass destruction. That is to say, the way that the vaccines were administered, you have to actually physically, inject it into your body. So the delivery capacity of it is lessened because it's not in a free air or contagious kind of, delivery system, if you will, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. And so those are the things that I was looking at today, looking at what to expect as we move forward with this. And I do think ultimately there's also elements of China involvement. But here's where I think that this actually is on the table. And there was another report, and we've been following this from the very beginning, given all the warnings and all of the data coming out. It literally, at the moment that all this was happening, was the fear of running out of our munitions. So there's another article, and I believe this one might have been from the Wall Street Journal. I'm forgetting off the top of my head now that I'm thinking about it. But this article was talking about how there's really low levels of munitions. And so there's estimates that it was some of these precise missile systems we've depleted by about 40%, other missile systems like 30%, 50%. And they go on to say that it's taken a toll and that we could upkeep with the ongoing conflict. But it highlights, though, if there was to be another conflict on the level of a Russia or a China or something to that effect, then the United States is looking to be in an extremely weak position. So not to say that there is going to be China's going to strike immediately, but you don't even need them to. You just need the fear of that being on the table, the fear of a potential third party could come in. You could get third partied like you're in Fortnite or Apex. And I think it'll be enough of that fear will be enough to drive decision-making happening in Iran, meaning they're going to want to shorten the timeline. We clearly can't keep the munition battle up going the same way that we are right now without putting us in a very, very, very bad situation, which has always been of the mindset, which is why that we would force the hand on something like a ground invasion that may lose, soldiers to the tunes of thousands, or nuclear warfare or biological warfare. So with all those things on the table, that's why I feel like there is a healthy amount of room to fear an escalation in the ongoing conflict to a degree. And again, ultimately because the United States is rather and very publicly losing any other meaningful option on the table to get any leverage, any meaningful leverage back on to be able to force Iran to do anything or to get anything that we want from Iran, period. And it's kind of, it's eyebrow raising to also see that Russia is stepping in And they continually are asking and telling Iran that that Iran, or so Russia's telling Iran, like, we are willing to take the enriched uranium, like, we will hold it for you. And Iran is even rejecting that. So even something that would even seem as like it is initially, like the US rejected that, that would seemingly be like the US would be willing to take that as like, get some kind of strategic victory, get the win out somewhere. And again, it goes back to all of this feels like the US is losing so much. And so you have to question then, when someone's willing to do something that you're ultimately going to take a bunch of losses for, you go, well, clearly that person's motive also might not be generally based in what they're saying too, right? What are the other motives there? And I think we've talked about that as well too. Obviously, this general idea that the Jewish fifth column in Israel and Netanyahu and the pressures that exist there and what they want to get out of this conflict as well too. So I think, again, all those things combined puts us in a pretty rough spot. I would also say too, I think given the nature of the way that Donald Trump has behaved over the last couple of weeks, it's not a far shot to say that perhaps he is dealing with something mental. And I would say, I think Nick would probably say it best, like the guy basically has become an antichrist of sorts. And I think, I believe he even tweeted that not too long ago, a couple of days ago. But even outside of that, I mean, talking maybe on a more pragmatic and a practical level, I think you do need to entertain that there is a chance. And also, huge thank you to the 5 gifted. I appreciate that, brother. World champion, that's who it was. Big thank you, world champion, for the gift. We appreciate it. But when you see all of the previous reporting, like earlier in the administration, with his like swollen ankles, his bruised hands, his like puffy face, there was even that day or two period where like he wasn't spotted, or I think it was a week actually. And then when the first photo that comes out is like he looked rough. And then you see just the way he's behaving too. And what it also feels like when you see some of these Truth Social posts that feel like they're written either by Chris Lasavita or Mark Levin for that matter, there's an idea that is he now beginning to actually, what's the word, delineate task? Is he getting to that point where he just can't handle it, and he's like, he knows that he can't handle it, so he's trying to divvy out more tasks to people? Or is it all him and he literally is just losing his mind? It's kind of hard to tell. So I don't know how much the 25th Amendment would hold up, but it was also kind of sad to see Colonel McGregor the other day say, he just has to go. The time has come. He's got to go. I think many people feel that way. So there's a lot there that's obviously wrapped up inside of this conflict and the decision making that goes on with it. Because again, take for example the way Laura Loomer operates. Laura Loomer is a very disgusting human being, and secondarily to this general story, if you didn't see one of her latest tweets against Candace Owens, I mean, like, you'd be hard pressed. I mean, no, I don't think anyone would disagree with you if you said that she was a literal demon. I mean, Laura Loomer writes this big paragraph and a half about that God hates Candace Owens and God hates what she is and what she's done. And it was just literally insanity. But think about the type of person that Laura Loomer is. And Laura Loomer is the type of person who would lick the underside of a homeless person in front of 40,000 people watching live if it meant that she could climb one more rung on the ladder of success, right? Climbing the girl boss ladder, if you will. And so think about how Laura Loomer might be the worst example of that, but think about how that mindset probably is equally distributable among all of these other different individuals inside the administration, the staffers, all these people. Yeah, Larry Loomer. Yeah, Larry Loomer. I'll take it. And that also has to be considered in the fact that they see their number one path as climbing that rung, as attaching themselves to Donald Trump. And so that therein gives a bit of tension, which is to say, as much as they may personally, on principle or whatever, disagree with the way that Trump is doing something or wants to nuke somebody, they also have to weigh that to, well, if I disagree with Trump, like, am I going to be the one that gets the report written out about them that Trump blew up on me? And like, now I'm going to be the one that's seen as like the easy person to throw shade upon as being, against Trump or something to that effect. And so there's a lot of these inner dynamics that also are at play with the decision making that goes on there too. So I'm just saying all that to say there's a lot more of a robust happening here of like what is going into the decision making of each individual decision that's happening, as well as just the overall direction of things. Because I think too many commentators I see, they make it so black and white, and life is just quite literally just not like that at all. And so I think when a lot of people are like, it's not like, again, like as much as I dislike Trump, he's not just doing the war in Iran because he's a bad person, right? It's like there's a lot more of depth to that explanation, right? It's like bad person, you need to click the button that says show more. Actually, show more. What do you mean by that? And there's a lot more to it. It's not to say it's bad by any means. I think anybody who's at least willing to say this war is bad is on the right side of history. But I do think there is a lot more to the story than what we're being told. And I think that part's obvious. But it goes a bit deeper than obviously, the Jews control everything. Obviously, the Jews have a huge foothold here. But I think there's obviously other dynamics at play too. And it's kind of to get into the nitty gritty. I mean, this is part of the reason why Nick is so good at what he does, is because, I mean, the amount of time you have to spend to actually like read these articles and understand it's like, I mean, it burns me out. I'm not gonna lie. Like it like burns me out a little bit trying to like read through all these different things and like connect the dots and maintain the relationships with these people. And so you really do have to commit a lot of it to memory. And Nathan James says, is Cuba next? I mean, I highly doubt it. I think they just keep throwing that up there. Is it on the plans, and will we move to it at some point? Yeah, and I think you might even see that maybe before the end of this administration. I think it ultimately does matter, though, what happens in the Iran war. And I think where they're at right now, and where everybody is at right now at the Iran war, is we're kind of in uncharted territory. Not that America's never lost a conflict before, but it's been a long time since America's been in a position where we don't have a clear and obvious advantage. Because any really conflict prior to this, it's like we're memeing it. Because the security and safety and the comfortability of living in this nation is so widely just baked into our everyday lives that some people just truly do take it for granted. And I think for a lot of people with what's going on today, not just going on today with the Iran war and the overall effects of such, are actually like, for some who are like tuned into it, are maybe rethinking maybe just how secure this is, because you got to marry the geopolitical with how bad the domestic is going. And with both those things together, it might be great right now, but there's only so long before you either collapse inward or we're just going to collapse because, we refuse to not be at the behest of Israel. I want to make sure that's all for the Iran war reloaded. And again, we covered the Raising Cane. We did cover Judge Knapp, Jimmy Dore, the Newsweek article. And again, I want to lay it out pretty heavily. Pretty much every article you go and you find that's specifically talking about Larry Johnson's claim, they make it very, very clear, beginning and end, that he's the only person saying this and they can't independently verify it. So take that for what it is. Like, he's the only person that said it, and maybe he's just making something up. That's not to give a statement on him. I really don't know him, but not being corroborated by almost anything else or anyone else. So one of the other stories I wanted to go to as well, the O'Keefe, the nuclear story, we covered that one too. Let me get rid of some of these actually. There's obviously a lot of cultural stuff happening. If you guys had missed it, Matt Walsh and Nick Fuentes got into it over like multiple days. I think it's been going on for at least 2 days now, maybe 3. And it's funny because it's like Nick responds once every 7 hours. I got the notification he's replying to Matt Walsh. It's funny. I'm like, why is this not just like a continuous thing? But again, I get that they're replying like when they're not busy. And there's a couple of things I actually wanted to take away from this. So I think that's actually where we'll go now. So Matt Walsh and Nick. So Matt does finally address the split among conservatives, which seems like he's always trying to stay in the middle, which seems to be like his gig, his whole purpose. And we've talked about this before. Matt Walsh presenting this false third middle option. Somebody goes, well, I think Ben Shapiro is a little too Jewy for me. But, someone like Nick Fuentes, I feel like he's a little too racist for me. And they look at Matt Walsh and they go, well, I'm kind of like a Matt Walsh. And Nick's explained this at great length, much better than I can. But that is basically what Matt Walsh serves as a purpose of. Same thing I would say also with like the Patrick Bet-David and Valuetainment setup. It is to platform left, center, and right, And what that does is it says that everybody deserves a seat at the table. And I actually disagree with that. And not to say I don't think everybody deserves an ability to speak, but it is to say I do think there are certain points and certain people where you go, no, they've shown enough of themselves. No, they don't deserve a seat here anymore. No, we have decided your ideas are not worth installing. Thank you, next. Somebody like an Adam Sosnick, I think, actually would fit in that category perfectly. And if anything, Adam Sosnick just strikes me as somebody who literally is just a coattail writer. Anytime he is on his own or speaking independently or solo, he lets you know in a very unique way that he is literally retarded. It's kind of cool, but this is kind of his gig. I was watching some of his older videos, going back to some of the stuff that happened over the Clubacast, and I caught the one again where he was like on a 4-minute diatribe crying about how his dad beat him because he said the N-word and like he was forever scarred from it. And it just takes unique skill to be that shameless about how pathetic you are. Like, I will be honest, it was striking me as like, he's really putting, there's effort into this. I could never cry that long in public without feeling like I need to go jump off a bridge. But he did it. But here we have this post. So Ben Shapiro finally gave Matt Walsh permission to reply to Nick Fuentes, LOL. And this is just the beginning of their conversation, but this is the opening post from Matt Walsh. And he's quoting Nick, but we'll just go up from here. And so here we have it. This is from Matt Walsh. He says, if we're going to have a conservative civil war, the dividing line should be those who believe in protecting and preserving marriage, the family, and unborn life, versus those indifferent or opposed. You can't be a conservative in any meaningful sense if you don't want to conserve the bedrock of civilization itself. There are 3 things with this post. I could probably riff for 30 minutes off this post alone. But here's one of the first things. One of the first things is it has largely been mainstream conservatives, people who are in the ilk of Matt Walsh, who communicated and carried the water for the idea that abortion is and should be off the table, that it's become a political football, it's a losing issue, and if mainstream conservatives want to win or have any success, they have to take the incrementalist position and drop abortion and just kind of wait on it in the future. And here you have in this post that the dividing line should be unborn life versus those indifferent or opposed. So he, once again, this is what I mean by Matt Walsh being the third option that doesn't actually exist, because he's proposing something that his camp literally said we shouldn't be do for the last 2 or 3 years. So that's the first thing that you notice in this post. The second thing that you notice in this post, and this is what I actually went in on him for, I quoted this post when he had posted it, but this is what I talked about literally the last time I went live, or I believe I did. If it wasn't, it was like the second to last time I went live. If you read that final sentence, you can't be a conservative in any meaningful sense if you don't want to conserve the bedrock of civilization itself. And what is the bedrock of civilization itself? What's the family unit? What's the number one thing? And here, so this is again, let me just back up a little bit. The family unit, he is correct that a family unit is the base of civilization. It is like the base unit that forms all the other smaller groups, right? Multiple families form a neighborhood, and multiple neighborhoods form a village, and multiple villages form a town, and multiple towns form a suburb, and then multiple suburbs form a city. You could go on and on. It's kind of like the building blocks of your DNA, like you at the cellular level. But the problem with it is that Matt Walsh has consistently refused to even entertain talking about family court and feminism at the highest pedigree that he should be. What the number one thing that is breaking up families in today's day and age is family court, both directly and indirectly. Directly in the fact that it is the place that you walk into as the judge basically tells you if you're allowed to see your own children. And if you are allowed to see your own children, he also generally assigns somebody as a winner, more than likely the female, as now you're going to be paying child support. And now you have now separated the kids are over here, decided whatever. The problem with that, and the system is broken in more than one way, but there's also huge problems with family court and it's not all states, but in a lot of states, the judge is actually financially incentivized to assign child support. So understand this. The judge doesn't get exact dollar for dollar matches, but in a place like Texas, for example, and the reason I found out about this was because of Jeff Younger and following Jeff Younger and following how Matt Walsh would refuse to lend a hand or take up that issue for Jeff Younger, even though it fits all of these categories, is that it's something to the effect of Texas. In Texas, they receive around 44 cents per dollar assigned per child support, meaning that if the judge assigns a $600 summary judgment, whatever, that 44% of that then gets re-kicked back in to the treasury of that court, which is then ultimately can be, and that also is what feeds into things like pension funds, as well as like other general vacation funds and things of that nature too. It's been a minute since I've looked at that, but they get incentivized. It's a financial incentive. That's wrong. No judge should be ever incentivized. That should not be a connection, period. Whatever that program is needs to be abolished and removed and never tried again. But secondly, indirectly, which is to say, the woman has the confidence and the authority to break off the relationship almost at any given point in time, knowing that because there is a 90+% chance they'll win in family court, it's nearly guaranteed that if they decide that this marriage is over, this relationship is over, that they can do so and almost get a 90% guarantee that they will then be getting paid for making that decision. So also the woman is financially incentivized to not be a part of said relationship or marriage. And therein you have that the man is like the only one. The man is the only one that's incentivized to stay in the relationship. Because if he ends up out of it, he more than likely will be having to pay for it, and then ultimately probably having to pay for a child when never getting to see them, or the typical ways that breaks down. And sometimes you hear of good cases where they end up working out pretty well. So you wish and hope for that for the best for most people, but that is one of two huge ways. Now, indirectly, again, downstream from that is also the idea too, which is to say that young men aren't retarded. Young men are paying attention to this. Young men have been paying attention to this for a long period of time. And understand that most men don't fear marriage. They fear the consequence of being divorced. And it's not even to say that it's a fear like they live like they're shaking from it, but it is to say that they know for most men that is ultimately a thing that leads to a high chance of suicidal ideation. It leaves you in a really bad position. It puts you out financially. It's very disruptive. It keeps you away from your children. And so men choose not to pursue it because of that. And where has Matt Walsh been on family? I mean, did family court issues start yesterday? I don't know. Maybe we could look at when Judge Judy started airing, which I would imagine was definitely more than 10 years ago, probably a lot even longer than that. How long have shows like Maury been around? Or things of that nature, like a long, long, long time. But conservatives don't touch it. They refuse to touch it. They refused to touch it when Jeff Younger was literally leading a national case. Not only that family court was so brutally wrong, but you even had layered on top of that, like icing on a cake, literally. Layered on top of that was the fact that the woman taking his kids and him just losing in all these summary judgments, that she denies a Texas order to stay in the state, basically lies to the court and says, yeah, no, I'm definitely like, oh, we'll stay here. Leaves, flees to California, taking the children with the sole intent and purpose to chemically castrate them because she wants to I can't remember if it's one or both of them. And the question now becomes, what is the point of saying that the family unit is the bedrock of civilization itself if every sign and everything speaking to that is not happening? That is to say that the young men aren't choosing to get married. And Matt Walsh's broken record of just get married isn't working. It was never effective. And if anything, and I put this in the tweet, it is basically a hand waving of like, this is a non-issue. Right? This is You're just a loser. Oh, you can't find a good woman? Oh, that's your problem. And that would have probably been the same thing he would have told to Jeff Younger. He would have said, well, you should have picked better. Well, there's a lot of things that go into, a lot of good things that go into that. But it is to say this is a joke. And Matt Walsh shows himself being quite literally a joke. And so he pushes this again. We're going to have a conservative civil war. Where should the dividing line be? But it's, again, what you're saying should be the dividing line is something that you have actively been afraid to pursue. So I'm not, and here's the thing, I'm not retarded. And I know everybody's like sitting here going like, Matt Walsh, you got to leave the Daily Wire, man. At some point you got to leave. Don't make yourself the fool here. Matt Walsh knows what he's avoiding. Matt Walsh is not an idiot. Matt Walsh knows he's fully well aware of what he does for the Daily Wire, what he does in his existence and positioning in the space in general. Do you think Matt Walsh didn't see the Jeff Younger story? Do you think that Matt Walsh is unaware of the win rates for women in family court? No. He just chooses not to engage with it. Now, the question being then is, what is the motivation to not engage with it? Does he, A, not even believe in it, B, not want to entertain it because having these conversations makes you an enemy of who? Makes you an enemy of women. And this is kind of where I have been surmising for many men, maybe this isn't Matt Walsh himself, but I have always long thought and always supposed that the reason why you don't see many more of these guys pushing for that is because, and probably for the money, but for me, I think primarily is because they are themselves married. And they themselves also don't have a marriage that is a reflection of what is biblical. And if they were to pursue such an endeavor, it would thus ultimately, at some point, maybe not in the moment, but at some point later on, would reflect back onto them. And that could be super damaging because A, if you're in a position where you're saying, down with feminism, family court needs to be like this, but then it's exposed at your family life, your wife is whipping you around, well, then you lose credibility. Or more than likely, it is because they are living in such a fearful sense, or more often than not, I don't even think Matt Walsh is that deeply in belief of, right-wing ideas. I think actually Matt Walsh might be a lot more left-leaning than people would give him credit for. And that's not to say Matt Walsh is the only one. There's many individuals who are like this where it's like, does your wife wear the pants in your relationship? And it's not to be an attack on women, but it is to say there's got to be a very significant reason that these people will continually parrot the news, or not the news, but the rhetoric of the family unit's all that matters, family unit, getting married, having kids. And it's like, brother, will you at least then spend 5 seconds to engage with the 19 different realities of why men aren't doing these things? Or is the idea, or maybe this is the purpose actually, maybe this is the purpose, is to continually send men into the meat grinder until they're literally all of us are just cocked. So can't really speak for Matt Walsh's, personal motivations for this. I can only estimate and expect that like him and many others, they probably refuse to engage with these ideas because it would then lead to uncomfortable conversations with their own wife at home. Or maybe it would lead to uncomfortable conversations with people in their family or maybe their children. Some of these people are old enough to have kids who are married. If you start talking about, family court and the actual statistics of single mothers versus single fathers, it's night and day. We have to be honest about this. Single father statistics, like if a child is with just a father and no mother, is nearly a 1-for-1 replication of children who are not completely, but it is significantly, so much significantly closer to a 2-parent home with a mother and a father than it is to a single motherhood lifestyle. basically, if you were born to a single mother, is like your chance of having a successful life is like is thrown in the trash before you even blink. It's not hard to find any of this information. You have people like Jeff Younger who made it his whole life's work over the last 2 years to put all this information out there in Substacks and other forums like that. Men are fighting for it. You have people like Timothy Gordon. You have Sovereign Bra. You have many Christians in the space who are fighting against the Longhouse. But all of the mainstream ones are just nowhere to be found. There's reasons for that, and I think it's a lot more personal than people would expect. Thank you very much for the super chat, Michael Crawford 5650. He says, red pilled my Gen X father on Uncle H. Took some convincing, but we must be patient with those we love. Happy birthday to the GOAT. That is correct. I believe his birthday was yesterday. Is it 420? It's actually kind of crazy. Uncle H born on 420. And you guys might have seen this as well too. Did you see that Xbox for like a 2-hour period, or not Xbox, it was GameStop, I believe, like a 2-hour period yesterday was offering $420.69 for every PS5 and Xbox system that people would turn back in. And the only reason I saw it was from John Doyle, which is hilarious. He quoted it and he said something to the effect of, put me down. Is it today? Okay, interesting. I saw some people posting about it yesterday. Maybe everybody's confused. But to go back to this post here, the third point is Nick is completely correct. And the dividing line right now, people can argue about how we got here, but the dividing line as it sits right now in the current dynamic of this system is Israel first versus America first. And he's completely correct here. And now Matt Walsh actually responds. Matt Walsh says, if someone hates Israel, but also supports dismembering infants and letting gay couples purchase babies and dismantling marriage in the family, do you consider them an ally? And Nick responds and says, you just described Israel, and that deserves a like. Matt Walsh says, you didn't answer the question. Nick says, you said the dividing line in the, quote, conservative civil war should be gay adoption and abortion. Those issues should just be a non-starter for the right. The much more imminent and divisive question is whether our civilization will be dominated by organized Jewry and its accomplices. Matt Walsh, that's wild. My gosh. Matt, come on. I didn't want to read all this. I agree that those issues should be a non-starter on the right, but there are plenty of people who are avowedly opposed to Israel and who also are avowedly opposed to the family, marriage, and sanctity of human life. Most of them would not call themselves conservatives, that's true, but some of them do. More to the point, you say the dividing line is over the issue of Israel. So my question to you is whether you'd consider an anti-family, anti-life leftist who opposes Israel to be an ally. In other words, are they on your side of the line? To answer the question for myself, I'm America first. I never want to see Israel's interests placed above my country's interests under any circumstance. I also oppose this war in Iran. But if someone agrees with me on those points, yet disagrees with me about protecting the family, marriage, and human life, I would not consider them an ally in any meaningful sense at all. The family is the bedrock of civilization. It is the most fundamental thing. Even more fundamental than the nation. We must be aligned on that. So Nick says, look, I only have 280 characters to respond, but clearly if somebody disagrees with you on this points and wants to put Israel first, go to war with Iran, have our society subverted by Jewish fifth column, you would consider them an ally as long as they oppose gay adoption. So he just flips it right back to Matt, who I do believe Matt has not responded and probably will not respond. But Chief Trumpster with the best comment there is Dave Rubin an ally of yours? Which is to say, how many people who are doing the rotating grift on the Daily Wire and at the Blaze are all pro Dave Rubin and are pro surrogacy and are pro IVF and are pro, all of these things that are socially degenerate. And if anything, this is where the cracks started to show much, much earlier before then. And it goes back to Christian values. With Calendargate, I covered this front to back. With Calendargate specifically, it was down the line. It was all these, people like the redheaded libertarian and just snuck in fourth quarter libertarians, like people like Dave Smith and other individuals I don't see anything wrong with that. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with this. You know, they put based beer on the beer can, and now we're selling it, and we're putting our women in swimsuits, and now we're selling it to other men. They saw no problem with it. They actually were like, a lot of them were confused. They're like, whoa, like what's this holier than thou attitude? And it's like, bro, like you're on our side. You told me you were conservative. Don't walk across that line into red territory and then look at me, the Christian conservative, the home of the Christians, and go, and ask like, and be befuddled by our values. That was actually more offensive than them doing it in the first place, was their ignorance of it. And then it just continued, and now it's kind of boiled down. Now it's refined itself. Now it's a lot more refined. Now it is, are you for America and America's interest in the identity of America, for America's posterity, for Americans and what Americans are? Or are you for this left wing, this complete left wing nonsense, so long as it just doesn't trans children and, you know, we can say gay and retarded again. And so it just feels like just such a long time coming for one, but I guess you could have predicted it would have been completely down on Israel first versus America first. And you think about it, all the people too who are pro-Israel, right? Dave Rubin being one of them. Dave Rubin, you know, gay by his children. I guarantee if you pulled up that infamous photo, which I forget who has it, but there's an infamous photo and you can find it. And it has like all of these major conservatives. It's like, you know, Dennis Prager and Glenn Beck, The Blaze, all these different, you know, conservative influencers and outlets and pundits all saying congratulations to Dave Rubin. Guess where they are on the side of America first versus Israel first? If we found that photo and went down the line, every single one of them that congratulated Dave Rubin are also Israel first. So what's the connection there? And how is there a connection there? Right? Maybe you just walked into the room and you're like, you're like, hold on, wait a minute. I didn't notice that for the first time. All of the Israel firsters are the people who are okay with surrogacy and are okay with gay adoption and homosexual marriage. And you go, yeah, because those people's primary values aren't Christianity. And they never have been, and they probably never will be, as unfortunate as that is. Whereas you go on the other side of it, you actually do see the America Firsters more often than not are being, their operating principle is, I do this so long as it remains and is honorable to the Father. I will do this so long as it matches with and walks with the living word. That is what like we run through, and you go, like a lot of times, especially, you know, if you go to the ethical dilemmas and things as well, like that, you typically are like, well, we got to find the verse, right? Let's look at where we try to make some sense of how we should be feeling about this. They don't do that. And that is the difference. So you could quite literally put that as simply as, for a lot of it, especially if you go into like the further dissident right, you can separate it by the Christians versus non-Christians. And it's not always on those lines, but a lot of times you can find it on those lines. But the line that it is on is America first versus Israel first. And a lot of people aren't shouting Israel first. That's kind of a meme, if you will. But they don't have to. You know who is Israel firster, because they won't do things that are America first. And it is rather unfortunate, but that exchange, obviously, I think needs to happen. If anything, I would love to see a Matt Walsh and Nick Fuentes debate on the entirety. Maybe they could just debate the conservative split, and that would be a great debate to have. I think for a lot of people, it would open their eyes to just who Matt Walsh is and what his actual positions are. It's not to say Matt Walsh hasn't done good, but it's not even close enough. We're not even scratching the surface. And especially, too, I think it's getting old watching him dance around the question of it as well. Same thing for Michael Knowles, but I have kind of a little bit less respect for Michael Knowles. And part of the reason too, like doing all those gay like movie scenes and stuff, like I'm sorry, like I can't trust people who do stuff like that. we got that out of the way. One of the other things that happened, this is another maybe more cultural story. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I will pull this up here. Not this one, it's this next one. But the Alex Jones Network is actually set to launch soon. And the reason being is because Infowars was purchased by The Onion. And I can't remember some of the name of the people who are involved. I think Tim Heidecker is one of them. And I thought this was like a meme at first. Like I really didn't understand the story when it was first being attempted. This is probably like 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. It's been a long time. But that's what their intent and purpose was at the beginning. They wanted to buy Infowars. The Onion wanted to buy Infowars because they wanted to turn it into a parody of itself. And it looks like that is actually what's happened, is that they did actually reach a deal and an agreement. And I think the reason why it fell through initially the first time was because the Onion only put up they put up an agreement, but they didn't put up the money. And it's been a minute since I covered it. So that initial deal fell through, but it was like nobody afterwards had done anything. I don't know if there was any deal made between Elon and Alex, but Alex was allowed to come back to X, and this is it's been his home. I don't think really Infowars is on any other platform, largely besides just X. It's probably its own website, I would imagine. But this is where it's gone. And so this is like the new logo, it looks like. I will play it a little bit. I don't know if there's any sound to it or not. That seems to be the new logo. And if you just do a cursory search and you just or The Onion, forgive me. And so here we go. This is from 2024. So this was last year. Man, I'm just getting old. This is from Owen Schroyer from last year. Heading into Infowars for what could be its final hours. It was purchased and auctioned by The Onion. Know that it's not a joke. But I do believe that fell through, though, because it was just like an agreement and they didn't have all of the money that they needed. And I think what we've basically been waiting for is that The Onion has been building up the money to finalize the deal. And I think that's what happened in the last couple of days or yesterday, whenever it did. We'll take a listen. We'll listen into this a little bit from Alex from RT. It's a quote here. Just because you're wearing my shirt don't mean you're me. And probably better reporting on this. This is from Pablo Torre. If you guys don't know this Asian over here, or whatever he is, this mystery meat guy, was formerly like a part of ESPN. You could always tell he was a left winger. And it's always like when you see one of these guys leave and they go to like a news outlet instead of a sports outlet, you're just like, yes, I always knew that guy was a leftist idiot. I knew you were him, dude. But we'll take a listen to Alex. This was, I believe, yesterday in response to the news that it's probably in the final moments of Infowars history. Forgive me, there's no... Interesting. Why is there no audio? Yeah, cursed pause. I'm like a little confused, actually. Either way, okay. I guess I'll pull this one up. If there's any issues with sound, please let me know. I'm using a raw sound with almost with no filters on it.
Of you took something from them.
Right.
We've already checked with lawyers, so they're in deep shit. I'm already suing the Democrat Party law firms. Already got civil rights lawsuits. So you think, look, just because you're wearing my shirt, don't mean you're me. So let's be 100% clear.
Big thank you
that.
again, World Champion,
so
for 5 more gifted. Appreciate that, brother.
Just like you did a year and a half ago, or it was November 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So is that about a year and a half?
Yeah, this is a story from December 10th. Sale of Alex Jones Infowars to The Onion rejected, and I'll get into this. And
So just, but yeah, they need to be us to confuse people. By the way, it's a total failure. He goes, we're the 5th biggest newspapers. That's a lie. Newspapers are all dead. Okay.
I looked it up. The Onion gets less than half of the traffic that Infowars gets.
And remember, they said they were going to beat Charlie Kirk. Remember when he died, they said we're going to misrepresent fake quotes of him.
It is crazy to me how wide he is, but how thin his arms are. Obviously built, built like a brick house, and he was a lot more fit when he was younger. It's crazy the way that your body will contort given your muscular imbalances over time. He is very burly. And this is, and you can see this is somebody who had a very dominant chest. I'm a former personal trainer, so forgive me. You had a very dominant chest, but very weak front deltoid. So you can see, look at this shoulder right here. You look how it almost has like this side kind of slant to it. The front deltoid looks like it's non-existent. And this is why you need to train your front delt. You need to do all 3 heads of your shoulders. So you don't look like this. It looks like he actually has a bit more of the front delt head showing here on this side. It could be the shading difference. But you don't want to end up looking like you have like these weird jutted angles. That's why you do the front raises in front of you. So you build the shoulder head that sits right here. So it pops out. Just some inside game. Somebody said I preferred Stargate Atlantis. Did I say that? I did. I will say I remember a lot more of Atlantis. Here's the thing though. Me and my wife are watching through SG1 right now. So and like understand, I'm like really into it. I've been into it from like the very beginning, and I always was when I watched with my dad. So that may change. And we're going to watch Stargate Atlantis once we're done with SG1, but we just started season 4. There's 10 seasons. And we've been cranking them too. Pause. Been I'm saying that way too often. I should not have to say it 4 times a show. We are watching through it, and so we're beginning season 4, and we're watching sometimes like 3 or 4 episodes a day, and they're all like an hour long too. So, and no, don't ask me if I'm I'm getting work done. But we'll finish it out here.
This is what the left do. They try to silence you, then they misrepresent who you are. They're body snatchers. They're skinwalkers. They literally take your skin. This is going to backfire big time, folks.
Skinwalkers, they take your skin. With an onion with a sad face is actually kind of funny. Thank you for the gift that somebody also became a member. Thank you. Who is even Hal? Oh, this is the, is this Hal? Did you make the new account? That's funny. Who Moggs? Oh, Atlas. Oh, me. Oh, me for sure. I'm waiting. I don't want to say anything, but I'm really waiting. I want to do the stream, me and Zeb together, because I would love to do something in person. Stargate did have some feminism in the writing. It definitely did, but it also did have a lot of good politics in it. There was a Christian episode not too long ago that was actually really good, and I liked that one. Yeah, that's definitely Moggs. That's funny. I'm a skinwalker. But I'm assuming this account, this one I have put up here, who is even Hal. This has to be who used to be Hal Nike, because I think it was you who posted that you got your channel bopped earlier today or yesterday. I do think Stargate's way better than Star Trek. Don't let my dad hear me say that though. I think by a mile. Alex is an Ormaxer, but just if you didn't know, the Onion did security auto by Infowars, and I do believe that they're already posting content. I think it was Tim Heidecker again who posted it earlier today. Somebody tagged Sam Hyde. I guess they might have worked together at some point, maybe, possibly. I have no idea. Not really sure. Okay, it is you. I thought so. That's funny. I really hated what I had to say. Well, be careful, because I know a guy who's been permabanned because of his profile pictures. Like, he can't even come onto YouTube unless he brute forces another like spam account or something like that. Maybe he has it for like a day or two, but I think he's like IP banned. And it was all from like his profile picture, because he did one of those ones that has it's like him doing a pose, but then like behind him's like this massive, it's the massive Aryan battalion that's spinning. And I guess that was enough to get him permed. That's funny. I've been getting a lot more back into the gym, I will say. It's been a literal godsend getting back into the gym. Speaking of, this is another side segue, and we're cozy streaming today too. Like, it's not like we're doing anything too intensive. Just a short story. So I'm helping Josh get into shape, and so take this is going to be a personal reflection of like how good of a personal trainer is Atlas, because we're going to be talking about getting Josh in shape by the end of the year. Josh will be mogging Zeb by the end of the year. No, that should be not the standard. But we're going to get Josh. Josh is going to start aura farming by the end of the year. So I had like a decently long conversation with Josh, and we had like a 2-hour conversation, and it largely did not leave the bounds of just nutrition and mindset and willpower, thought process, self-control, diet, fasting, intermittent fasting, fasting windows, raw fasting versus the intermittent fasting, all those things together. And so I'm really excited for him. And it was in that conversation through him where I realized, I was like, dang, dude, like I can really bore people to death if you let me talk for extended periods of time about fitness. I could just like go in all day with it. And so you said press X for doubt. That's funny. Was that our boy Mike? Yeah, it is. It is Mike. You knew who it was, Dissident. And I had mainstream dissidents in here. I appreciate seeing you, brother. And I like seeing that you've been streaming a lot more lately as well. Liking the thumbnails. And I like all your small time edits too. Some of your videos, the things that pop up everywhere. I like it. There are probably a lot of you. I would hope some of you would mock me, dude. I'm an old man, brother. I'm an old man now. I can't. I'm like leaving. I'm walking away from the mock department. I'm going to the nursing home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna have to start cheating if I want to keep competing. You know what I mean? Somebody put on the Somebody said the other day in the chat, and it wasn't in chat, it was in the comments, like, I'm like, I need to put down the Retta or the Rita doses. Like, listen, dude, if I was on the Rita doses, you would know it. Oh yeah, if you're 30, you're cooked. You're right there with me. Anybody who's over 30, cooked. But we're all cooked together. I turned 31 in December this year. I'm cooked, dude. I'm cooked. It actually only gets worse from here. I crossed the halfway point. You know what I mean? Like I have less life to live than has what already been lived. Like we're on the descent. It's like in the top thrill dragster. Da-da-da-da-ding. Oh Lord, have mercy. On the way down. VanDerNoord said, I will attain the Thrag physique. I'm still trying. I've tried my entire life to get the Thrag physique. I need to actually grow about 7 more feet. I'm going to like physically like detach my shoulders over. Todd says, Josh gets in shape before I do, I'm gonna die. Listen, I will help you too. If you want advice on anything, Todd, you can find me. You can reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you, man. Josh even made it a point, like Josh made it a point to FaceTime as well. We were like face to face, that way I could yell at him better. I was like, well, if I do it on FaceTime, I won't get spit on you. He's like, okay, let's do it that way. And then that wasn't really the conversation, but it might be a conversation I've had before. Yeah, 40. And that is true. Vincent did, he just turned, it was like 2 or 3 days ago. I told him happy birthday. He didn't even like my post. He don't even know who I am. I felt slighted. No, but he did turn 40 and it does go fast, man. It goes quicker than I would like. And I will say too, like, you see how quick the stubble is growing back? It's actually kind of annoying. It's actually really kind of annoying. Tix has a gray bush. That's crazy. But probably true. Probably true. No, I need to take the hood off. It's way too hot in here. Is it the Joshua VanDerNoord? Well, it would be insane if there was another Joshua VanDerNoord who watched this show who had a different handle. That would be crazy. That'd actually be hilarious. But okay. Moving on to a couple other things. Just wanted to give that little side note out as well. And that goes for everybody too, not just those guys as well. I think I put it out the other day, but like I promised you, like there's no shortage of me talking about fitness. I could do it for extended periods of time. If you need help or you want to start, you want advice, you have a question, just hit me up. Seriously, there's no problem to me at all. The stuff that I've breathed, lived, and have been, like it's nothing to me. So going to a bit more of a, on the serious side, we have a couple more of these before we get to some of the reactions for today. There was a story that came out of North Carolina that 5,000 Congolese have been resettled in North Carolina. And you have from Ann Coulter, they really hate our country. And so this photo here is what's insane about this. We just take a look at this. And what you'll see here is 5,600 people, all Congolese, are being awarded, so already have been awarded in the sub awards, okay, $64 million. So understand just $64 million separated to like 5,600 people is around like 11 grand. So basically, if you separate it, and if it's on an average, the average Congolese who just got, you know, given a home in North Carolina, 11 grand. And then if you look at this, look at the number to the left. Now multiply that number that I just said by 10. And then their total obligations overall to the 5,000 people here is around $110,000 per person, which is just incredible. And for what reason? Other than the fact that they are Congolese? I don't care if they fled from Darth Vader. I don't care if the Star Destroyer was hovering above the cobalt mines. I don't care. You don't just get to walk into my country. Well, I mean they do, but it shouldn't be. And now you are basically given $120,000 of fully funded through taxpayers. This is a staggering number to just have in front of you. It says where in North Carolina? I'm not sure. It says explore the data here, so let's do that. Was it this one? Oh, is this the overall? Oh, dude. No, okay. Who wants to black pill? Are you guys ready? You want a black pill? So 1.6, and this is just from the fiscal years 2012 to 2026. That's crazy. $64 billion divvied out in a 14-year period among 1 million people. That's crazy. I guess we go to North Carolina, though. Where is that at? Not even, is it right here? So North Carolina overall. Oh, okay. So it's not, okay. So fact check here then. Fact check on that. So it's the overall for the state. That is so much better. Not much better. I mean, the number goes way down. But still, though, they should be getting no amount of money. Undisclosed UAC rivals by. So it looks like it doesn't divvy by address. There is region. If I just go, let me just try to do the Congolese. Right, which would be the Democratic Republic. Was that what they had selected in that other photo? Eyesight's so bad. I'm trying to look at all the things they had selected. So it is this one. It does not say region. Oh, this is their region where they came from. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I doubt it's going to give you their addresses. If we put the address out here, it'd be like, there'd be 10 Nick Shirleys there overnight, I would imagine. Which we have some more from Tyler Oliveira we'll react to here in a bit as well. But it's just the concept of all of these people. And you think about it too, like you have the Iran war, all the money that's going into that. The Pentagon's getting ready to ask for another $1.5 trillion, or they're getting ready to ask for the military budget to be put to $1.5 trillion. You see like the National Endowment Program that's on two ends. One, you have claims from like the National Endowment Program, which I'm probably saying it right. I think I'm saying it right or wrong. Back when Tucker Carlson's dad, Dick Carlson, was there at the CIA, that's the program that was largely being looked at and viewed as the money funneling and distribution agent of a lot of this kind of regime change, right? The National Endowment for Democracy, giving the flyers and the pamphlets of like, you need freedom and liberty, you need democracy, overthrow your government today. Not like literally, but like that's kind of like the concept. And so it's always had a bad rap even earlier on. That's kind of fell away. And then nowadays it's looked at as like a very fraudulent thing. And it was one of the first things that was supposed to be getting cut, and it's not. And we had a report that came out that there was even Republicans who were funding it. And it was like the Republicans were funding it for, it was something to the effect of like, for black women to like get black haircuts or something along those lines. It was more of this kind of like woke bullshit. It's really what it was. It was like it's just it funds, it gives money so blacks and blacks and minorities and women feel like they have real jobs. And it's like that's part of these programs. It just funnels money essentially into these things when previously it was seemingly being used, and probably still is, being used to destabilize other countries with like informational warfare and financial elements like that. Are you sure you don't want us to protest against your supreme leader? We'll help you. Oh, what's that? Like, is there a box of AK-47s over there? Someone left unattended? How those American arms end up in the Middle East? It's like these are the processes of how that this stuff happens. But just, I mean, what a headline. 5,000 Congolese resettled in North Carolina. Why? Who put them there? Who asked? Who asked, actually? I don't remember asking for more Africans, actually. I don't remember asking for more Caribbeans? What do you call somebody who's from the Caribbean? Caribbeanese? There's got to be a term for it. Am I just being dumb? There has to be a term for this. Yeah, I know the N-word. That's good. You're right. So these okay. It's got to be something, dude. Carabiners, Carabiggers. Oh, that's a good one. Just call them Puerto Rican, I guess. Yeah, I thought that. I'm like, I think there is. There definitely is. It's like, oh my gosh, why it's escaping me, dude. Criminals. There is a term for it. I know there is. Pirates, it also works. Man, there's a term for it. It's kind of like what Drake is. Like, Drake's not black and he's not really Canadian, but he's, dude, this is going to make me angry, dude. It's like Pacific, it's not Pacific Islander, but it's something to that. It's like similar to that. It's not Polynesian, but it's like something like that. Yeah, Drake is Gelato. I think maybe people forget about that. Drake's been real quiet since the Iran war started. Anyways. One of the last things we'll go to, well, I guess we got a couple more, but this is one of the last ones. Mary Morgan, and Tix brought it up earlier with this game, and I don't know anything about this game, so I'll save my opinion on that. But Mary Morgan got obliterated on X. Melanesian, that's a good one. She got obliterated on X for this post. So before I show you the post, let me just show you this. 2.8 million views. Mary Morgan works for Tim Pool. I don't know how often she's on Timcast IRL anymore, but she does co-host a show with, I believe his name is Chris Rett, which is Pop Culture Crisis. I've only ever seen occasionally. But if you see this, look at these numbers here. 2.8 million views. Ratio of a lifetime. Okay, almost has more bookmarks than likes. With less than 3,000 likes, but almost 9 or a little over 8,000 comments and replies. Generally indicative that people didn't like what you had to say and actually wanted to say something back. That's actually what, we're seeing the broad data of this right now. And what she's actually giving a take about is about this game that Tix referenced earlier. And this is a great example that you guys can see that there's no amount of a woman being based or even pretending to be that they can hide their feminist nature. If a woman is in public speaking, this is Wendell's law, and it holds true to this day. No woman can speak for an extended period of time or be a public speaker without ultimately at some point falling to the left. She will fall to the left. She will lean, like she might start here, but it's over time, it's eventually just slams to the left. They can't. They just simply can't. And again, a woman speaking publicly is also like a bit of it's oxymoronic for a conservative woman, because a conservative a truly biblical conservative woman would have understood and grasped the concepts of what it actually teaches in that book, that great, good book, the good book of the living word. And they would internalize it, and thus they would never even have entertained something as moronic as that. Anyways, what she's responding to is this video game. And so I'll play this first, actually, to be fair. I'll play this first. This is a game that's coming out. People are super excited about it. This will actually be my first time watching this, to be honest with you. And I guess it's a game called Pragmata. I'm not really sure what it's about. It says Capcom is typically really good. New sci-fi action adventure with a hacking twist. Out now on PS5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch 2. It's rated T for teens. So we'll take a look at this. So this is what Mary Morgan, her whole post is making a comment about how this video game made her feel. So we'll watch this video first to be completely fair. And I'm going to be looking for Tix's comments. He probably knows a lot more about this than I do. But here, we'll play this. Make sure it's decent volume. Here we go.
Just, what are you?
I am DI-03367, a state-of-the-art pragmata created here at the Cradle. I possess basic life-saving...
How about we call you Diana?
Diana?
Yeah. From now on, you can be Diana. How's that fit?
Diana. Hugh. Diana.
Yeah.
Hugh. Diana. Hugh. Diana. Hugh. Diana. Hugh. Diana. Hugh. Diana. Hugh. Diana.
Kids.
Diana.
Diana.
Okay, so that was like, this is, I mean, it wouldn't be a game that I would be jumping to, but it does remind me of a little bit of BioShock. So be curious, would Mary Morgan have the same reaction if BioShock was released today? And so here's what she said to it. Tix says it's a robot child. Yeah, right. So yeah, if you didn't get it, she seems to be like an animatronic or a cyborg or an AI, a robot. Don't know really what it's about. The guy's armor outfit, I will say, looks like Dead Space. I'm not sure if they have any connection at all. This is what Mary Morgan says. She says, lots of strange reactions to this game. She says, let's clear some things up. All right, dude. Can you imagine a woman coming to you and going, let's clear some things up? Dude, first of all, who do you think you are? Anyway, she says, childless men do not have paternal instincts the way that childless women have maternal instincts. That's crazy. She goes on in parentheses, we observe this even in the way little girls play versus little boys. Men first experience paternal instincts once they have their own children, and typically those paternal instincts are only ever felt for their own children and no one else's. Men are not nurturers. Men don't gush over cute kids in public. Men don't have baby fever. If a man wants to possess a child for any, and this is the crazy part. I'm glad somebody pointed this out. Look at that. Look at that verbiage usage. This is a classic. Women use the most denigrating to character language they possibly can when contesting something that they disagree with. And so you're seeing an example of this. If a man wants to possess a child, that's a crazy way to say that a man wants to have children. But she's using it in a way that adds and attaches a lot of negative connotation to it. Possess, right? Ownership. It's the same way when you ask, it's the same response and you're like, why want a woman that's submissive? And a woman responds, oh, you want me on my hands and knees to worship you? It's literally the immediate response out of most women's mouth because they are trying to attack and denigrate your character and trying again to be very obtuse as well. And it goes on, if a man wants to possess a child for any reason other than it being a product of his own lineage, he is likely a predator. And you'd be taking the feminist radical gender abolitionist position to protest any of the above points. This should explain why a, quote, dad simulator game marketed to mostly childless men gives people the creeps. Which is just wild. Wild. So, and Tix is right. Let me go to this first one that he posted here. Her entire first paragraph was proven false years ago. The thing is like, for one, it is maybe historians will disagree that I've never heard of before, but this idea that men's positioning in society has been anything but very disposable for the entire purpose of continuing other people's lives and lineages is quite literally insane. The majority, like, if you go back and you see the makeup and the infrastructure of the systems of the tribes and villages, and even during the feudal ages and so on, the majority of men operated in a position of giving their life, whether in servitude or in some other form, for the benefits of the greater good. This has kind of been the entire makeup of what men do. Men even in today's day and age, is like going out now. More often than not today, it is for their own children. But men adopt children all the time. And again, she says little girls versus little boys. I don't understand why you would use that as an example. But like we just talked about, between the statistics between single father homes versus single mother homes. Now, granted, I would imagine the vast majority of those are probably with their own children. So caveat that a little bit. But it's night and day difference. I would much rather, like, if not in the say like to babysit my child, for example, but if you were to say, here's a single man, here's a single autistic Catholic guy, and he's like 24 years old. This guy can adopt the child, or Nikki, who's 26 and is a single mom, and, or she can adopt the child. It's like, I'm going to lean in the direction of letting, whatever I said the guy's name was, Austin or something. I'm going to lean in his direction. And I think objectively, all facts point to him actually being the preferred answer. If you are looking at it from an objective standpoint, based on things like life tendencies, like the tendency to not be in prison, the tendency to not go to jail for a violent offense, the tendency to finish high school, the tendency to, all these things that are very, 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 you are at odds with if you are under the household of a single mother. But it's also the way that she also says, it's this line in particular that's really insane. If a man wants to possess a child for any reason other than it being a product of his own lineage, he is likely a predator. And you think about all the stories of men who stepped up and adopted kids. And there's even commentators in the space who are adopted and like don't have strong attachments to their lineages as well. I mean, this is basically what it is saying. I mean, like, all stepdads are predators then. I think that's a great way to say that, Nathan James. So that's what and again, here's another woman basically saying, like, if you're a single mother, I mean, that you would actually roll with as like being a little bit correct, which is to say, mothers should not ever go for secondary husbands or break up marriages like that. But she got attacked for it. This issue's probably been beat to death since it's been posted for over a day now or so. But I wanted to bring it up just a little bit. She goes down here and gets ratioed again. There's just nothing that you can really do. Pearl Davis, let's debate on this. Pine Sap, this is why bitches should have zero internet access. Agreed. Fact check. False. That's crazy. I'm going to like everybody who's commenting. That's actually a good one. I'm going to bookmark that one. I'm going to have to use this in a video. But, it's just nonsense. I mean, it quite literally is just nonsense. I'm sorry. It just literally is nonsense. And none of it is even based in any reality. Like, men don't have baby feeder. Like, that's, and again, this is what happens when a woman speaks for too long. She eventually lets it slip that all of her ideas, like when a woman is based, she's generally parroting another male. She is following with a male, or she is dating a male, or she's married to a male, and she takes her cues from him. Left to their own devices, though, they say random shit like this. That's just entirely just, maybe it is spite. I really don't know. I really don't know Mary Morgan's story at all to give a more insight into that. Yeah, it is community noted, isn't it not? To the bottom here. Yeah, what's the community note say? I didn't look at that. Community note says men experience baby fever and paternal instincts before fatherhood with hormonal changes oxytocin release, supporting nurturing and protective behaviors toward non-biological children, as seen in alloparenting and adoption. But that doesn't matter to Mary Morgan because Mary Morgan just had a feeling and the feeling was good enough. And her feeling into her world is factual reality. You know, and it's just, this is why women, like, there's no point. There's no point in even pretending that you can have a woman on your show or you can do long-term show with a woman. It's just like, they will always end like this. At a certain point, they will do this. You know, I'm still waiting for the shoe to drop on Rachel Wilson. Maybe she's the enigma, you know, but exceptions don't make the rules. The other story that I wanted to talk about a little bit, I won't, well, I'll just mention one, you know, the woman who was arrested for the joke, which I found that just be hilarious. I covered that in video. And the one thing I guess I maybe would have made the point to that I didn't in the video, which is like maybe a major point to be made about that, is the whole reason why she made the joke in the first place was because she just didn't want to go to the event. You know, so she's like, she didn't want to go to the event. I think whatever event she was at, this Ocean Center, Convocation Center, whatever, like it got rescheduled to like a random time, so she didn't want to be there. And that's why she says, you know, Netanyahu, if you can hear me, you know, drop some bonbons on me right now. And, you know, now she's facing a second-degree felony charge for, you know, a bomb threat, and they're taking it completely seriously. And it's just the biggest unserious joke of a mess that you've ever seen in your life. And I'm glad that Permabola had found it, because that's the clip I had pulled, but I'd kind of thought this lady looked familiar as well, too. And no joke, she is, because it's the same lady who's from the very viral, that I'm sure everyone here has seen, has been plastered everywhere. This famous instance of a woman who's getting ready to give sentencing or going through a hearing with this inmate, only to realize that she actually went to middle school with him. And like the guy starts crying and it's like, oh, it's this feel good moment. But then you see it's like on the flip side though, on the flip side of it, she's like, yeah, I think any objective person, what is an objective person, by the way? That's literally that's not real. If there's anything that like actually doesn't exist, it's an objective person, because everybody's biased and every person has their own biases and subjectivities. Like, anyways, that's a woman as a judge, which again, that also shouldn't even be a thing. Like, how can you say a country has justice when women are judges? And again, speaking as a Christian here, right? Like the thing, it's very cut and dry. So if Paul does not suffer for a woman to have authority over a male, how can there possibly be a woman judge whose whole goal and job is to preside over you in a hearing and determine what your judgment should be? That's crazy. Sentencing more than likely, but regardless, you know, they are the one that do the dictating and orchestrating there. But that story was insane. I think everybody kind of covered that one just because it's like, it's another Israel one, and it's right up the vein of that. And my main point with it really, which was like, so is the expectation and the precedent being set here that like, if I just like, you know, if I say, if Netanyahu, if you can hear me, is that what they're saying? It's like at all times, Netanyahu can literally hear you. It's like, is that what they're saying? Any objective person recognizes that that's actually real. Oh. Like, that's crazy. It's just literally insane. But anyways, the other story that I think is actually very significant before we get into some of the reactions here for the second half window, I've already kind of crossed into it a little bit. Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump have been in communications again. And I saw this story. It was quoted, I think it's from Axios, put it on screen for you guys to see this. Now, I just had caught this just before I went live, but it's from Ryan Savager, who I'm not too familiar with. But Axios reports that President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis have spoken in recent days about DeSantis' future. DeSantis says his dream job would be a U.S. Supreme Court justice and that he is very close with Clarence Thomas. Forgive me. DeSantis on the Supreme Court would be huge. Go dive off a bridge at 1,000 miles an hour in Minecraft. Axios then says DeSantis is 100% not interested in the AG job, but he would be interested in two things: War Secretary or Supreme Court, which would be his dream job. Said another source with the discussions, familiar with the discussions. DeSantis and conservative Justice Clarence Thomas, that source said, almost have a father-son relationship and would be a hell of a legacy for Trump. Which also goes into some of the fears that I think some people have been talking about, which is this expectation that there will be a change in the Supreme Court. Now, I didn't think it was Clarence Thomas who was set to retire first. I'm pretty sure it was Roberts that I thought was going to be retiring first. So if Clarence Thomas is also eyeing this, there may be a potential for Trump to not flip, but maintain two more, conservative Supreme Court justices. The only issue is I really, really, really deeply have this strong and disgusted feeling in the pit of my soul that Ron DeSantis will flip-flop Ron out, and Ron will get a walk-in nomination as a Supreme Court justice. He'd be good on blank, basic conservatism, but he's not going to be good on full-blown America first, and we know that. We know DeSantis is captured. And I think, if anything, this might speak more so to the fact that expect that Ron DeSantis was not running in 28. Not at all. Oh, it was Alito. Forgive me. I confuse him all the time. Alito. So then that's two. And maybe we'll get Ben Shapiro as a Supreme Court justice. That would be huge. These people not hear themselves? Oh, dude, maybe Donald Trump can get Dave Rubin. Oh my gosh, Dave Rubin would be massive. And then, that's how these people talk, dude. They're so. It makes you just want, yeah, Randy Fine. Dan Bilzerian wins the race, and immediately Randy Fine goes to the Supreme Court. If Randy Fine makes it to the Supreme Court, we have to pack it. I'm sorry. We have to pack it or abolish it. There's no way this country could survive with Randy Fine on the Supreme Court. But here's the thing. The precedent for there being any requirement, and that's the thing that maybe was the worst thing about Ketanji Brown Jackson, which is there's no argument that you need anything. If Ketanji Brown Jackson can be a Supreme Court justice, this ham sandwich can be a Supreme Court justice. Understand that that's also a side effect of that. Because if now that she's on there, they already set the precedent that a Somalian could be a Supreme Court justice if they wanted to. I mean, dude, if my energy drink wanted a Supreme Court justice, it could be. Are you a constitutionalist? And so now what can you say? What lever of mechanism do you have that could prevent somebody from getting on the court besides after the fact adding something? And so that was just a major mistake. It is and again, reminder that this woman refused to define what a male was or a female was, and then they let her on the Supreme Court. If she can't discern a male from a female, how is she expected then to discern anything that, quite frankly, would be much, much, much more robust and deeper in nature and and vastly more complex than the basic two genders of any given species? It's a general topic. It's not even species specific. It's every animal has these, actually. Dude, I'm glad you reminded me of that, because that argument, we played it on stream. I still don't even know what she meant by that. If I steal a wallet in Japan and get caught, then I'm Japanese. What? And she's like, listen, if I make this argument, almost every black person, all these third worlders will be citizens overnight. Because I guess all they do is steal or something. I mean, she said it, not me. No, actually, I probably said it already. Ginger Anagram says, thank you for the super chat, though. I appreciate it. Did I say that right? Ginger Anagram, 2467. I've seen the name a million times. I don't know why it tripped me up. Because I have a base job and boomers are all a lost cause. Correct. Do not waste your breath on boomers. Because my boss was talking about taking vacation and going to visit Anne Frank. Netanyahu, if you can hear me, bomb Anne Frank's house. It's funny. They worship them. It's the religion of Holocaustianity. they watch as the, they're making the military light menorah and say, my name is something something, and I remember. Light the menorah. Next person. My name is Sally, and I remember. I can't even imagine the amount of articles that would get written. They're violating my religious freedoms. Like if they made people like just say one nation under God at the end of their sentences or something like even small to that extent. It's always only one way. It's always typically generally only one way. And it's, I mean, what are you supposed to do? I don't know what to do. I mean, like my best advice is to just, the boomers just have to go. They just have to, there's not much you can do about it. They wholeheartedly believe in that. And that's really the sadness in it. And for a lot of them is I think if push came to shove, most people older than you, for many people, as their parents included, they would choose a secular Holocaustianity America over Christian values. For some of them, it's because they think that they know Christian values and they don't. For some of them, it's because they just think they can pick and choose. And for some of them, they just are just brainwashed. They are just browbeaten. This is their existence now. And you got to be honest with yourself. Like some people are never going to make it. Not everything's equal. Not everyone has a chance. It's not to say not everyone's worthy of redemption and dignity and love that is, in God's grace. But it is to say that if we know that people are born with low IQs and there are people who are born with high IQs, and that if propaganda works on everybody above a certain IQ threshold, okay, well then those people who are born underneath that threshold never had a chance. I mean, so what do you do about that? It's an unfortunate reality. And I think for many people, it kind of spells to them to have adopt a bit more of a sit and wait mentality of this just expectation of just letting them die out so we can kind of get our people in there. Or just letting them die out. And just the simplest element of they are the main thing in the way. Like, it's just like this whole idea, like it's the idea really that we're going to have Social Security, 50 years from now with a robust welfare program and benefit. It's like, no, like you had that and you made your children pay for it for other people, but your children won't have that. Could have maybe paid attention a little bit to what you were doing. And it's sad because, and maybe my dad's listening, and if he is, I'm going to say this, and nothing personal to my dad at all. We're going through this Bible study, and I'm behind, actually, mind you. I'm behind. I'm actually fallen behind twice now, or 3 times now. My dad's typically really good on a lot of this, so don't take it as him like being a boomer at all. My dad's actually really good on this, and this is where I got my start to even being in the political purview. He is the reason why I pay attention to these things. But it goes in the same vein of the Protestant exegesis of not holding to a canon and not having a structure or a sainthood or a fatherhood or really anything, to be honest, like anything firm to hold to. And it was in Romans, I believe it's Romans 13, which is Paul's address to the state. But if you read that with no connection, the way you read that, the way the average Protestant reads that, is no matter what, every authority that's ever existed was clearly ordained by God, and no one can ever contest them. Which is, for one, I mean, it's just illogical. And 2, it is incorrect. And so, like, and he had sent a text, like, along those lines too, like saying, wow, this says you just have to let God handle it. And like, that's just not that's not the truth. And, and my OSB has like 30 different, all the different bylines in it of like, connect this, go to Acts and connect this. But the main point in it is like, yeah, you submit to the authority because on a generality, if you are defying God, you're defying the authority. More often than not, you are generally defying God, or you're just being rowdy or obnoxious. but not if the civil magistrate is directly in opposition to what is good. And in fact, if it is evil and undoing good. And you can't say our government and by any means at all is good. That's very obvious. The secondarily thing is it's illogical. It's illogical in the sense that anything illogical cannot be from God because God is logic. Which is to say, well, somebody's going to be voted in, right? Someone's going to be voted in. Someone will be king. Someone will be. So it's the idea that like now that I've been elected as president, I can no longer be a Christian. I just have to So what happens when you are elected as a Christian? Like, what is it? So now, if you can't affect change and you can't resist the state, but now you are the state, how does that? And so there's a lot of things that go into that. And I didn't want to argue, and that's what I really the main point of what I wanted to say here. I didn't want to argue, so I just was like, I read mine, I read my chapter. And that's the bigger point that I wanted to make, and to wrap up the maybe a little more serious side of this before we get into the reactions, is I feel like many of you probably feel this way too, which is to say, it feels like any time you are presented with something or you are conversing with something, it feels like if you were to put forth how you feel, it is an argument, or you're now going to have to argue against. Or on the other side of it, something is being proposed to you or argued to you that you vehemently disagree with and like don't want to be around. And I found myself in this kind of mode, and I think for many of you it might come like with dealing with like, your wife, or dealing with like women in your life, or dealing with just people in your life in general. And at a certain point you do like kind of get burnt out about it. You do ultimately are like, it's tiring to just argue and fight constantly. But then you're also at the same time, it's like, but I can't not fight, because if I stop arguing, they keep pushing and they keep going. It's not to say to argue about everything, but it is to say typically with things on your end, right? It's like somebody's like, well, hey, I want to do this. And like, I want to, I was like really excited to do this and this, and let's watch The Chosen. And you're like, it's like if I give my thoughts back, it will either A, become an argument, or the person's now going to be, I have to reveal now why and what my issues are with The Chosen. Right. And so it is to say, I'm sure many of you probably feel that way too. And so maybe you are like me. I mean, for some people and for some individuals, I'm just like, I just omit. I just like don't say anything. I just like, because you just have to, because it's like, because every word that will come out of my mouth is going to be an argument against what you're putting forward, because I am completely, and for all of the reasons, I am 180 degrees, forgive me, on the other side of the issue than you. And it's tiring. But it's at the same time that I go, is this that same feeling that the men before us felt? And is the reason, is them feeling that feeling and getting burnt out and saying, there's no point in arguing, let's just all get along. Is that how we got here though? Was it the abandonment and escapement and the escapism of these things? Because nobody wants to be, irritable and uncomfortable the entire time. At a certain point, you want to put your sword down. Nobody wants to fight forever. And I do quite literally think that's probably a huge portion of what went into the escapism. It wasn't that they actively, all the men in the preceding generations wanted to walk away. It's not like the base men just disappeared. It probably was an overall kind of, they became more tolerable, exactly as Hook was saying. They wanted to pacify and they just got tired of fighting. Being overwhelmed by the social institutions, being overwhelmed by the advancement of technology, the proliferation of all the different information systems. And at a certain point, it's like you have to argue against everything that they saw on the day, all of the articles they saw, all of what Snapchat told them, everything they saw on Instagram. And at a certain point, it becomes like a huge burden. And it's like, how often do you want to sit your wife down every night and be like, well, you saw this was fake. You saw this was fake. And this is wrong because of this and this. And, at a certain point, you do kind of sit there and you go, this is literally tiring. This is absolutely tiring. And it burns out. And if you don't do it perfectly, you open yourself up for people to blow up on you. right? And if you don't like perfectly like, argue your point, or you piss off your woman or whatever, and you don't do it the right way, I mean, then you're cooked. Then you're sleeping on the couch, or the proverbial sleeping on the couch, right? Which is to say, you've maybe have degraded the relationship or the nature of the relationship you had with, say, wife or friend or father or daughter, or insert anything in there. And I think people want to avoid that because, again, people, for the most part, are always trying to seek out convenience. They're trying to seek out the most efficient way to get things done. And if you're really just trying to, have you're trying to just live a peaceful life and not die soon, and not die, most people will typically opt for the pacifism. They will opt to go, okay, I won't even fight anymore. Whatever you win, just make it stop. And I think at a broad scale, at a mass scale, that's what probably ultimately happened. And this is the toleration. And now what we're getting now is the younger generations saying, F no, I'm not, dude, you're not going to sit here and squeeze every dollar out of me. Well, every woman that walks this earth that's in my dating range has already slept with 400 guys, and half of them from Australia and Africa. And then all the job market's entirely screwed. You keep sitting there and screaming about your benefits and all of this. I mean, so of course there's going to be the rubber banding. It was going to snap. And again, it was the expectation that the average white guy was just going to sit there and take it at the bottom of the pedestal, knowing that it was their people who built this nation, that it was their people who largely spread the word of God and Jesus Christ and Christianity. And now the only thing that they get in return for it is a worse off life, while every other literally person of any other skin color, ethnicity, and nationality is gifted basically a home and a welfare program to the tune of how many amounts of money. Well, whoever had that expectation, like, I don't know what you were thinking, because it's going to result in some form of violence. I mean, like this trend cannot continue. And it will either be at the mass scale, like it will happen earlier on, and there'll be some kind of coordination and gathering. And we're already seeing that between many different forms, balkanization, where you're seeing it with Arval, or you're seeing the infiltration with Nick. It's people, they're figuring it out. They're clawing their way back in. Or if those all fail, it'll be some kind of, burst, flash in the pan at the final kind of last straw. And maybe there'll be some small community that lives in some small sect on an island in Hawaii. And it's like, 2,300 or 2,900. It's like, hey, look, these are the last white people on earth. Remember when you fought for your freedom, the 300 people in America before there's only 2 made it out and survived? I don't want that to be the future. But where do you think this is going? And if anything, like and this is for anybody who's not a young white male, but if you are on this stream for whatever reason or chance, understand that the look towards you is with anger, and it's with like almost like disgust. Like you looked at me and thought I was going to take it. You looked at me and thought I would be some weak beta, just lesser than, and I would just sit here and take it on the chin while you gladly stole everything from me and walked away with a smile on your face. You thought that of me? So it's more than just anger of what's already been done, but it's anger about the way it's continuing and the nature of it. And when you see people like Kamala Harris in a video we're going to watch later on, saying that black women need to be more selfish, it's very clear that nobody in the room has an idea at all of what's going on. Really not anybody in the mainstream at all. Sure, some of them maybe possibly have an idea, but more often than not, they're lying. So something's going to have to change. And men are going to find it one way or the other. And especially the young white men, and they clearly are already moving. You see them joining up with the Groypers. You see people like Chud the Builder gaining a following. You've seen people like Elijah Schaffer can do it basically, being attacked and scandalized the way that he was. And he's accountable. He did make those choices. But even he's still maintaining a following. So men don't really care anymore, especially the young white men. They're going to keep pushing until something breaks, because they're not going to go without a fight. And my fear ultimately is what it's going to turn into if the rest of the groups don't actually begin to negotiate. And that is to say, if you don't even begin to halfway acknowledge, like the thing is we're still on the stage where a lot of people aren't even acknowledging the problem. So for example, Brian McGill's, whatever his name is, right? The guy who got his arm broken because he was like, we don't want to die for Israel. He has been on a non-stop tirade today talking about how white supremacy is the problem and white men need to figure it out how to talk to black people. That brother's internet fame was done the moment he sent posts on that tweet because he has no idea what's going on. Finger not on the pulse. I don't know what pulse his finger's touching, but it's on a dead body because there's nothing there. No grasp of the problem and the situation. And here's the thing. If that's the way it's going to go, I mean, like, you're going to get balkanization. If that's what people seriously believe, what person wakes up and looks at this society we are in and goes, dang, black people need more money. They need more things. They need more schools built just for black people, taught to them by black teachers, taught to them given to them by black foundations. At what point? We are in year like 35 of this. We're actually technically in year 70 of this effing experiment. At what point? At what point do you look at the failedness over and over and over and over again? Do you go, you know what? Maybe this isn't the solution. Maybe black people didn't need more handouts and welfare programs. Maybe something else is the problem. Okay. Well, it's in the denial and it's in the absence of acknowledgement and it's in the omission, or maybe some of them do acknowledge it, but they omit it. That it's in there that you are building, and this is that's what people like me I have to push against, because I have to sit there and look at every brother of mine and go, I understand you. When the guy is across the table from me and he's screaming, and it's just me and him in a conversation, and I would never tell names, but when he's screaming and he's going right, he's ripping the hard R, he's like laying it on him. Not a single part of me disagrees. I disagree with the hatred, or sometimes not even, would I even categorize him as saying he hates black people, or this person hates black people, or it's a lot of people. Because I understand it and I agree. But I have to sit there and I go, but you, and again, the Christian in me talking has to go, well, you can't let this you can't let this consume you. And you can't let this hatred run your thought process and your mentality. And you know, and Jesus Christ would tell you himself, that he would tell you, you cannot harbor hatred in your heart. Forgive him 70 times. Right? You simply can't. And so that now this is now the new problem that's being formed for maybe anybody who's like needs to be paying attention to this stuff, is the fact of there's now Christians are being flanked even further to the right by people who are just full blown ethno-state. Like they have written off everything. And it is in the fact that so many of you people refuse to acknowledge the elephants in the room, which is race, women, blacks, and nons. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else needs to be put on TV screens. I don't know what else. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Like, do boomers not go outside? Do they not go around the South Side? Do you not even attempt to go to Walmart? Are you kidding me? And maybe it's just me. Maybe all these boomers are so rich they just all go to fancy Costco's and it's just me stuck at Walmart. But are you kidding me? Being air blasted in the face every time you go to Walmart, dude, instantly curry, just boom. Getting cut in line every day because it's some loud black woman, or it's just a random Indian woman, or some other thing that you don't even know where it came from, that's not even talking to you, can't even speak English, cutting in front of you. Their kids pulling stuff out of here. I mean, it's because they're not assimilating. And it's also because there are biological realities in that too. But to not rant for the rest of the stream, but just to make the point that part of the reason why there's going to be so many extremely hate-filled men is because there's so many people who actually knew what the problem was, bit their tongue, and many of them refused to acknowledge it until it was too late. And it's fostering hatred. Because again, they look at that with that expectation of like, are you serious? Like, you thought that of me? You thought I would sit here on my knees? You thought I would fillet you? Like that's how they, like, and it's just like, there's not even a good way to articulate the way that this is laying on the hearts of young men. And probably someone into it, like brothers like Tom Foe and the right wing coalition could do it better than me, but that's where we are. Like, so many of these guys are like, why? And no explanation is good enough. And so it's turning into a lot of, darker things than what I would hope it would be. But just wanted to make a point on that stuff specifically. Lost Creole says, make segregation great again. Yeah, I'm sure if you would try in your hometown and then all of a sudden ATF will show up and kill you and all your children and then act like, what are you talking about? Just the way it is, man. Apparently it is just the way it is. But anyways, I don't want to be too dark of a note on that. We're going to switch over to reacting to a lot of the stuff that came out today. These are all going to be all more video format. So to switch to maybe a bit more a funnier tone or a happier tone or a less blackpilling tone, I would like to do that. That's why I said cozy crash out. And I picked it for a reason, right? Like, I was irritated from the cat allergies. I was irritated from just everything I've been seeing today, the Iran war, seeing the post from Laura Loomer. I mean, it just sends me. And it's not even the stuff from Laura Loomer. It's the fact that it has thousands of likes. Like, who are these people? The fact that it's getting reposted, some of it's bots. It's not like I think every person who likes something on X is a real person. But then I saw a story today. Sure you guys saw this too. Pretty sure it happened in Philadelphia. Firefighter saves the life of a black guy, only for the black guy to literally kill the firefighter moments later with a handgun. And I'm telling you, I can't. It is hard for me to tell brothers who don't know Jesus Christ not to hate when that's happening and it's not being acknowledged and it's treated as like these random things that like never ever happen, when in reality it happens every single day and in more ways than one, both in the physical and in the mental and in the psychological. I mean, yeah, Donnie says American History X. I mean, like, this is what you're going, you are getting this, actually. You're going to get a lot worse than this if you don't open up and be real with the problems. The problem is not that black people need more money. They don't. They literally don't. We've been doing this for the better part of this side of the century. It has not helped. What we need people to be is honest. And if you cannot be honest about race, I do not want to have a conversation with you, and you are helping nobody, and it just doesn't mean anything to me. And this goes for Christians and everybody else too. The lack of acknowledgement of race, ethnicity, and nation from the entire industry, both political, religious, and in the cultural, I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm not going to entertain it at all. And I think anybody who wants to push some bullshit argument the other way, I'm not even going to hear him. Like, I'm like, that maybe in 2018, but we are so far removed from 2018 politics. This isn't a kid's game anymore. And it's feeling like the decisions being made now are becoming a lot more make or break on if I will even die in the same nation that I lived in my entire life. Now think about that. Think about what a feeling that would be. To live your entire life in a nation only for as you're breathing your dying breaths, you don't even live there anymore because now you live in the United whatever, the United Emirates of Southern America Central or something. And that's what a lot of people feel like is on their plate. So, and you can't really fault them for taking radical action when it feels like the entire system is doing everything in its power to tell them to stop having personal convictions, to stop believing in Christianity, to stop, again, going back to the going back to the expectation of they're not going to sit there like good little doggies. They're not. So be prepared for what's going to be on the other side of that. And also pair it with the fact that it's going to look like, more than likely, something similar to the effect of Iraq with jihad. given the fact that so many of these issues are also married to feminism and thus sexual access. I know Dave's friend. I'm sorry. I do remember it. I remembered it this time. I was just ranting for a while. I appreciate the super chat though. And Nader's friend says, the economy of distractions is building the pressure until it breaks, then all hell is let loose. And that's what the majority of everything is. Everything is a watch this, go do this. I mean, anything besides paying or giving any real credible conversation and thought and input in any form to the actual conversation of the day, which is why is this nation so broken? And again, all these boomers just think that all of these guys, all of us are just we're gonna take on all your broken systems and all of the money that you made, all of these huge cash cows. Like we're not. I mean, like we're literally not. Like we're not living in a system that pays for all these other nations to have healthcare while we have to pay into healthcare programs for other people in this nation, while you also have to pay $700 a month to still have to pay a $5,000 deductible. Like, I hope you understand. Hear me now, as someone who these are the final words, some of the final and the last words in the last years of people trying to be reasonable and have a conversation before it seriously gets into it takes an insane step forward. We're trying to tell you this is not functional, this is not working, and we're not going down without a fight. We are not accepting your broken system that you decided to give to us. It's not happening. So, prepare for war, Hook says. And that needs to be said, I'll caveat that with, metaphorically speaking, obviously everything is being done from a defensive position. And again, this is all from a defensive position. You have attacked us all. And when you choose not, and I say you, I say you rather loosely, but when you decided that you weren't going to lend a hand, when it's plastered a day in and day out, the suicide rate for young men, it's like, it's killing half of us. And everyone decides that this is just an okay way to live. I don't know what to tell you what's on the other side of that. You decided that was okay. You were willing to tolerate that because it was too inconvenient for you to tell women to shut up and a black to sit down. So you're going to get what's on the other side of that. And don't come trying to be all based on the other side of it too, because everyone's going to remember exactly who the biggest blocks and hurdles in the way were, and we're going to come for you first. Because like it says, if I had an enemy and a traitor, we're in the room, I give 2 to the traitor and I shake the hands of my enemies. That is how a lot of us feel. Because many of you are in positions of power. You are in positions to say things and do things, and you don't. So here we are. But okay, we're gonna go to some fun stuff. We're gonna do fun things now. Yeah, I said filet me. Sorry, I was just trying to draw a point, trying to do it as best as I thought I could. But going to this here, let me get rid of some of these. Again, too many. But here's the first thing I want to react to. This is a TMZ, it's from Fearbug posted this. TMZ obtained footage of Ye leaving a Jewish human rights center last night. Motherfucker says, gay of the day, please. Hey, well, that's fair. For the most part, all of this is actually going to be gay, so we can do the job.
The gay of the day.
So remember, everything after this is gay. Beginning by choked on my own spit. But Fearbuck and TMZ again obtained footage of Kanye, leaving a Jewish human rights center last night. And I do really need to fix my audio for some reason. I should have another bar of audio up here, and it's just not there, and I have no idea how to make it appear. Anyways, here is that, and this is Kanye probably apologizing for the 3rd or 4th time publicly, but here it is, alas, again. And if it's any of the sounds too loud on any of this, please let me know.
What's up, Ye? Ye, can I ask you, what did you learn tonight at the class?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the festival being canceled and the ban? Thank you.
So he didn't seem too happy didn't seem too excited. Somebody had a photo, I was like right here, and they said Kanye West about to drop the sequel to NHH after this. Looks like they said something he didn't like. That he's done with the apology tours already, they said. And, you know, it was, I think Nick already gave his, a bit of an opinion on this, but I kind of saw it myself too, where I think a part of that plays into it as well, wanting to see his children. And it, again, goes back to the system of who is anybody, you know? And I really would like to see family court abolished. Because if you got rid of family court, I mean, like what entity is going to tell me I can't see my children? And then it would really only actually limit it to, you know, domestic disputes and things of that nature as well. You know, like when people get physical. But yeah, imagine meeting somebody who you never met in your entire life, and then they're going to decide for the next, like, however many years if you can see your children or not. Hello, stranger. You tell me, based off of this, what you see here, if I will ever be able to see my kids again. Like, what a stupid effing system. But who knows? All I really want, truth be told, I just really want NHH to be on Apple Music so I can put it in my gym playlist. And then I would just probably only listen to that song while I was at the gym, to be real with you. You know. This next one's is actually gay. This would qualify for a gay of the day. I don't know who all had seen this. This is from Dr. Groiper, and it's a quote. He says, I've been crying maxing for 11 days, 2 hours, and 6 minutes to be precise. He says the last time America First went on air. Give me. I'm like struggling. But apparently Clavicular's friend explains he cries all the time because the tears make his hair softer. Forgive me. I think Masad got me.
So the thing people don't know about cry maxing is like you actually have salt in your tears. So what I do is I take the tears and I put it in my hair and it's almost like sea salt spray. It's not fucking funny stuff. I don't complain that much. So the thing people don't know about cry maxing is like you actually have salt in your tears. So what I do is I take the tears and I put it in my hair and it's almost like sea salt spray. It's not fucking funny stuff. I don't complain that much. So the thing people don't know about cry maxing is like you actually have salt in
I didn't know
tears.
Donnie
So
had
what I
an
do is
alt
I take the
page.
tears and I put it in my hair and it's almost like sea salt spray. It's not fucking funny stuff. I don't complain that much. So the thing people don't know about
Yeah, just get hair conditioner, right? They'll probably say, well, I can't take my hair conditioner because the hair conditioner drops my testosterone by some percent or something to that effect. And it is like, this is just crazy. And he just looks like he's wearing makeup too. Like that's gotta be, I don't know what that is right there. What they call contour or something, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't complain that much. Yeah, it's just like the way he reacted to the people laughing at him too. It's like, gay, gay. It should be told, like, I'm more of a millennial, right? I'm probably more millennial than I am Gen Z, being right at 31, being born in 95. So like, I'm gonna be honest, like some of the new, like the super new age, new wave, like I can't get with it. You know, when I'm seeing Chad Champion talking about, you know, yerba mate and all these other like super gay drinks, I'm like, dog, put the coffee in the cup and move it along, dog. Put the coffee in the cup and move it along. I don't want the cream. I don't want the sugar. I don't want that weird gypsy, you know, sprinkle dust you got in your hands. Put the black coffee in the cup and slide it over. Just you know, but these guys are struggling. And here's the thing, I don't even really find it to be that much of a laughing matter. Like what we had just said, like a lot of these dudes are broken. Like they are broken. And as much as like you guys understand how the women are around your age, think about what the average like 18-year-old girl is like. It's already probably been compressed and exponentially worse just in a 10-year gap from like, you know, maybe a lot of you guys know the women who are your age, like 26 and whatnot, how they act. But think about another decade lower than that. And like maybe a lot of these guys really are just like The only way out of this is I have to physically become like literally the top 10% male, or I literally will have no chance of ever having a woman. You know? Don. No, he says, no, he says, he says, sorry, it's funny. He says, not sure why you're comparing him to me. In prison, I'd sell that guy for honey buns. That's funny. That is funny. And, you know, I don't blame you at all. I feel it. Sorry, I got a little dizzy. I laughed a little too hard. Didn't get any oxygen to my brain, apparently. Yeah, for honey buns, dude. Honey buns are what I give to Big Hoss, dude, because I want the cowboy killers. Give me a pack of Marlboro Reds. I'm not trading in honey buns, and I ain't squishing on them either. I have never been to prison, by the way. Throwing that out there. Owen Schroyer also, this goes back into the political a little bit. Owen Schroyer went off on Sean Hannity because I guess Sean Hannity's been on a streak, you know, joining Trump and attacking the Pope. And this seems to be what this is about. So it's on a smaller, longer segment here, but we'll take a listen. Owen Schroyer laid on us.
Fox News' Sean Hannity explains why he left the Catholic Church after institutionalized corruption. What a joke. What an...
Like the U.S. government is safe from institutionalized corruption. These people are so criminally retarded, dude.
Absolute hack. Sean Hannity is. What a shame. What a fraud. TikTok indictments are coming. TikTok indictments are coming. Shut up, you phony. You absolute sellout phony. So he's leaving the Catholic Church because of Pope Leo and Trump. That's why. Has nothing to do with institutionalized corruption. Institutionalized corruption? The Catholic Church has been corrupt for how long? Hundreds of years? What do you mean? You just figured out institutional corruption at the Catholic Church? What are you, retarded? And by the way, Pope Leo is actually the first pope that's letting them do these investigations into the institutionalized corruption. They've actually kicked out multiple priests, bishops, cardinals. They've found the corruption. They're kicking them out. Pope Leo is actually clearing out. Pope Leo is making Catholics great again. Pope Leo is making Catholicism great again.
And like I said earlier at the beginning of this, you have to think in very deep terms about how these people are making their decisions of what to support, what to cover that day. And like this with Sean Hannity didn't just instantly become aware of, you know, certain things in the Catholic history of the church and some of the corruption that's been there. But he's doing so because Donald Trump, he's backing up Donald Trump. And Sean Hannity, being the highest paid, I still believe he is the highest paid political pundit across all the mainstream sources, to the tune of like $45 million annually, I think. I could be wrong about that, fact check me, but I'm pretty sure he is the most paid, highest paid. And then Rachel Maddow's number 2. He's doing it because he is maintaining his position to be at the top of the rings, at the top of the ladder, or potentially climb one spot higher. That's how most of these, like the Laura Loomers and many of these other Fox News pundits and many people in this space, they view attaching themselves to Donald Trump and appeasing the system, appeasing the state, never making yourself a big enemy of it, as the way to climb that. Thus, again, to marry that to Owen Schroyer saying he didn't become aware of the corruption as of yesterday, he did not. But he's saying this yesterday because he's ensuring and reassuring everybody and his investors and the people around him that he's got Trump's back. He's here to protect Trump, the state, the ongoing, the system, if you will, the establishment.
Pope Leo is making the Vatican great again.
And I didn't know this about the
He's actually letting them go after the institutionalized corruption. Institutionalized corruption. Like you haven't heard about all the issues with kitty diddling? Like you haven't heard about all the priests and pedophilia? Like you haven't heard about the mass graves? I mean, come on, institutionalized corruption. Oh, did you just wake up yesterday? What a liar you are. The only reason you first of all, you probably don't even go to Catholic Mass. You're probably not even Christian based off of what you do for a living. Oh, you're leaving the Catholic Church today over institutionalized corruption. So you've ignored the institutionalized corruption in the Catholic Church for your entire life, apparently. But now today you're going to do this big grandstanding thing. 100%. That was a nice little reach around you gave Trump, wasn't it? That was all that was. Sean Hannity just politically reached around, jerked Trump off, rubbed his nipples a little bit, and said, "You're welcome." That's all this was a political sex play.
That's basically what he did. I mean, you know, Trump's like reaching back. I don't know if I want to paint the picture. We kind of got it with the reach around, right? But to borrow a metaphor from Nick, I mean, like because of the, you know, Trump attacked the Pope, so it proverbially slipped out, and Sean Hannity grabbed it, he firmly grasped it, and he slipped it back in. That's you know, that's basically what Sean Hannity did here.
For Sean Hannity to say, "Hey, Donald, I'm going to bash the Pope.
Not going to articulate any.
I'm going to bash the Pope, and I'm going to bash the Catholics today too." And then maybe if you want to, give me a little howdy doody, little how's your sister? That'd be great, Mr. President. I'm going to twist your nipples on air. I'm going to jerk you off on air. I'm going to leave the Catholic Church and bash the Pope. I'm going to do that for you, Mr. President.
So I am way more ideologically aligned with Owen Schroyer on the issues they're going to be discussing. With that being said, I've never seen Andrew Wilson lose a debate. So really don't know how that's going to play out, because Wilson's really good at what he does. Like, we got to be honest, right? Blood sport debater. He's selling courses on how to debate. He's growing and cultivating more guys as we speak. There's like a lot of people under the wing who are like, you know, inside the Crucible network, essentially. You know, there's an idea in there that Owen can just win on the merits of the argument, that the public will agree with Owen despite maybe not performing as well. But again, unsure.
What an absolute sycophant.
Yeah, Andrew Wilson and Owen are
fraud.
debating. There's a massive card happening. I could look it up for you guys real quick. Let me do that. Let me do it off this one so I don't lose our spot. Owen Schroyer, Andrew Wilson. A big face card. Not here. Here we go. So it's next week. It's this from Uncensored America. So it's happening at University of South Carolina. So Zeb and Josh may have a chance to actually be there in person. It's Monday, April 27th. This is the big one, I do believe. I wonder if I click on this, will I see the card? I got to be honest, though. Dude, Sean Smeko, I literally can't stand the guy. Dude is literally just absolute, I don't know if he's just stupid or if he is like in on something as well. I'll keep my opinions to that. Because Sean Smeko is nice to us. He's got good relationships with the other guys and like other people on NAV. Hold it against me personally, but like Sean Smeko to me is literally effing retarded. I think the dude's literally retarded and he's special needs or something. So that's coming from Atlas Thug. That's not coming from NAV. So if Sean has a problem with it, it came from me, but I think he's just an idiot. And so let's see, look at this. Get tickets. Is there... So general tickets is free. The live stream is free. I want to look at the actual events, though. The 27th, 28th. Now we're going back in time. That's not... There was like a card. Somebody posted a literal card for it. Maybe it's on this one? I mean, the website looks decent and all, but like it's nothing that I wanted to see. So at least you know, April 27th for Andrew versus Schroyer, and then the 28th for Brian Shapiro and Rachel Wilson. There was a hold on. Debate card event. I might have to just like look it up on my own time. I don't know who's hosting it. It's none of that. And I really do hate traversing X. Just taking a risk, dude. Hold on, let me try this. Debate card event. I might just ask Grok. Wilson debate card event main. I actually, maybe they posted it themselves. Hold on. Let's look at their media. Maybe not. Maybe Uncensored is hosting this one and it's somebody else who's hosting another one. So maybe it isn't Uncensored that's hosting it. Anyways, I was trying to figure it out for you. But at least you guys know 27th and 28th for those events in South Carolina for this debate. I could have swore that there was a bunch of other debates happening on the same day as this, because the way they did it was like they did it like a UFC card. It was like, here's the main event. And the one in particular was Andrew Wilson was going to debate, like he was in the main event, but he also had 2 other debates he was going to do throughout the day as well. It's also funny they used a super old photo of Owen Schroyer there. I don't know if you like that or not. They don't look like that no more. That's like pre J6 Owen Schroyer. And it says, personally, I think Wilson is the better debater, but the position is simply indefensible. All there is illegal immigration, and that is super weak. Yeah. Yeah. What does it mean? What is illegal immigration when we're resettling 5,000 Congolese in North Carolina? But back to this, going back to Owen Troy, we'll let him finish out his rant against Sean Hannity.
Pope Leo, making Catholics great again. Pope Leo, making Catholicism great again. Pope Leo, making the Vatican great again. How do you like that? Institutionalized corruption. When are you gonna leave politics for institutionalized corruption? When are you gonna leave Fox News for institutionalized corruption? When are you gonna leave the GOP, the Republican Party, for institutionalized corruption? You are such a phony. When are you going to leave the military-industrial complex for institutionalized corruption? What an absolute fraud you are, Sean Hannity. You are the reason why.
Like, hey, let him get up. Let him get up.
Conservatives never win. You are the reason why the Republican Party has nothing to show for it for the last 26 years. You, Sean Hannity, you with your blowhard ego and your fake hair and your fake makeup and your fake intellect and your fake books and your fake show, you are the fraud here. You are the institutionalized corruption, Sean Hannity. You have destroyed right-wing politics and turned it into neocon, warhawk, warmongering, CIA, misinformation, you phony. Does that settle that, guys?
That's funny. I wouldn't put it all on Sean Hannity, although he's certainly been a portion of it for sure, and he's a continuation of it, definitely. We also had, was this Gregory Bonvino? I don't know what this one is. Some of these I did not react to, or I did not look at, but I wanted to give you like raw reactions. Let me get rid of these again. But this is Gregory Bovino, and he's been pushing pretty hard that it is like he knows for sure that it's 100 million illegals in the country. He's been going pretty heavily against this Mark Wayne Mullen quiet deportations. He's been walking it back a little bit. But what's up, D's Knives? I can't say anything to D's Knives because I know D's is a mod over there. I remember that. I know you. And also, I don't know if it was you, but somebody gave me a gifted membership to the Crucible not too long ago. I appreciate it if that was you or anyone else. I do appreciate it. But you know, gotta be honest. Just have to be honest. You know, I will promise you this: I am not afraid to make enemies with anybody. So I will always give my honest opinion. And, you know, maybe that's easy to say because I'm a literal nobody, but I don't even care if I was not. Like, I just, you know. But, you know, will be rooting for Owen in that one. That's who I'll be. Donnie Brook says, I'll talk shit to anyone if you eat a champion. We do. That's right. Donnie Brook versus Andrew Wilson. Let's see it. I would pay, dude. I would pay good money to go see that. This is Gregory Bonvino, and he was responding to, looks like he's on screen here. So this is what I wanted to play, actually. It was this video, not the tweet from him, but we'll play this video because he was on with Nick Sortor. And this is him actually talking about how there is these 100 million illegals, which is vastly higher than the number generally touted, which is around 30, sometimes even low as 20, and generally not much higher than 40. But I am of the belief, and I think I'm in full agreement with Right Wing Coalition. He made a post about this, I believe, earlier today or last night. If you step foot in any city, any urban area, you can't walk away without anything, but it's got to be 100 million. Because, I mean, and Josh, I wish I could just pull up Josh, like, you know, like, hey, here's Josh VanDerNoord. But that'd have been actually seem gay. Wish like Josh could call in and he would be like, hey, just, yo, dude, can you tell me how many white people you saw when you were in Columbus? He'd be like, it was just you. He's like, I thought I was in Africa until you walked through the Buffalo Wild Wings store. Or no, where were we at? Where were we at? It wasn't Buffalo Wild Wings. Where did we go? If Josh is in here. It's another popular wing place. Wingstop. Lord, I cannot think of it. But yeah, that's like the first thing he said. He was like, holy crap, dude. Like, where am I? I thought it was funny. But D's now says, Base Brother, we're glad to have you. We don't all agree there. That's the crucible way. Hey, true. And it's true. And I do appreciate the channel. Andrew Wilson has been a wealth of knowledge for me. So, you know, I thank him for that and everything he continues to provide for everybody else. And Jake Rattlesnake. Speaking of, I got maybe like the most thoughtful comment of all time, not the last video, but like 2 videos ago, where somebody compared me. They said, I remind them of Jake Rattlesnake, who is somebody who started as like a clipper, but then ultimately worked their way into being like a prominent voice themselves. And they said a lot more than that, but it was like, that's the most thoughtful comment I've ever had. I was like, well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I had never seen it that way. I thought of it, but when they said that, it made a bit of sense. I was like, I get that, because obviously I got the majority of the following from clipping Nick. But even before I clipped Nick, I had like my own show, or tried to, as a part of another show too. But I was like, I'll take the thoughtfulness, you know, I'll take the thoughtfulness from it. But I do think I'm probably a few shades much more red than Rattlesnake is. But me and him probably agree on a lot. I think he argues his position really well. I think he's a smart guy. But here's this video. Tick says, maybe the story arc. Tick says, no, you're actually nothing. Tick says, shut up. You know, it's funny.
And so you see this, when you say self-deportations, some of the ways that myself and others have called for, and walk me through if my thinking is correct on this. You know, you look at the banking system, you try to find who's, you know, which ones of them are accessing banking or debit cards. You look at their ability to rent. You look at their ability to possibly even own property. I know driver's licenses and CDLs is something that our Secretary of Transportation has been looking at. We're actually going to be speaking to him very shortly. And so it's all of those sort of, you know, quality of life and course of life, pattern of life type inputs where you can go in and say, we can't have you accessing our system. If they can't access the system, then boom, they're going to go back. And the biggest one of all of those, of course, which we've called for here for years, is a massive tax on remittances.
Spot on, Jack. Exactly. It's everything. You said the word everything. I think we fail to do that sometimes. We look at maybe one of those tactics as the panacea for self-deportations, but it's not. It's everything. It's that total spectrum. Immigration enforcement. Let's make it so hard for them to live, to work, to recreate, to do anything in the United States that they have no choice but to self-deport. And that's what we were doing in some of those large cities. Look at Los Angeles. Before we left Los Angeles a few months back, it was locked down. The fashion district there in downtown Los Angeles, completely locked down. The illegal alien businesses, the businesses ran by illegal aliens, the businesses that were inhabited by illegal aliens, completely shut down. And we started to see those self-deportations rise, because if you can't make a living and you can't move and work freely, then what other choice do you have? And doing that nationwide, as you say, whether it's looking at the banking system, taxes on remittances, there's a whole host of things that we can do to lock them down and encourage them to self-deport.
I was hoping I was going to get a bit more of so anyways, then I started shooting. You're like, yeah, no, we actually kicked in the wrong door, but they were still brown. Anyways, I just started shooting. He's like, let me tell you the price differential between a 9mm round and an airplane ticket back to the Congo. It is much cheaper to produce the shell of the 9mm. But no, he does sound like a dork, and maybe it was a bit of a LARP for him. Maybe that's what he was going for. I don't know. Disappointing. Or a loss. Ooh, or a loss. He's like taking tick damage. It's like the longer he speaks, it's like, oh, it's like it's going down. Ding, 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 ding. It's like, stop, go back to being silent. Put on the jacket. Yeah, that was actually probably a lot less than I was expecting to see on there, to be honest with you. Trump clipped Kabavino. That's fine. Here's the one I mentioned earlier. This is Kamala Harris with a empowering message to black women. And I will be honest, I have not listened to it yet. I just read the caption on it. That's what I did with most of these. You know how hard it is to take a video, not see any of it, put it in an outline so you have ease of access to then watch it later on and like not watch it, or at least not be tempted to. Pretty hard. But here it is. Here's what our queen. Dude, I know you're gonna hate me saying that. What could have been? Oh, Kamala, you were so misunderstood. Oh, how we did you so wrong. Miss Kamala. Yeah, earmuffs, please. But this was her saying how black women need to be more selfish.
I think it's okay for us to be a bit transactional too. And to say, I'm gonna get mine also. And so don't count on me to be a voter and be the backbone of the Democratic Party, because it is my value system and my ethics and my sense of civic duty and responsibility, so that you look at me and say, oh, they're gonna vote. I think it's okay for us.
That's good. No. Wait. It's the Punisher scene. So yeah. Looks like she got word or tapped on the shoulder that her black card expired, and so she came back to the plantation to talk to all the other non-house blacks, I guess. Dude, can you imagine? If you imagine Kamala, she's like, I was talking to a sister the other day, and she was telling me how them white people was telling her she was being too loud in the theater. And I said, sister, you wasn't being loud enough, you know. And the message, dude, whenever you start getting Verizon ads that says, we sell phones, speaker mode only. Don't have to worry about ever having to find the speaker button. Our phones come equipped. The only mode is speakerphone. And even better, it's on max volume. A setting you don't even have to set. Because here at Verizon, we have max volume only. Every phone comes equipped with one of them headsets too. They all come with like the big pocket on the side. Why do all black guys do that? Why are all the African guys doing that? I don't get it. They have like these massive phony clips, like sitting up on their waist. Like put it in your pocket, dude. I don't get it. Yeah, Sell Yell. That's what they just named the company. Sell Yell. Here at Sell Yell, we found that women of color are being discriminated against for how I can't even do it, dude. Seriously. But I mean, let's be honest. It is a. It is a. You see how I am? Like I literally am too white to do the good ebonics. I don't have it in me, dude. I try to do ebonics. My white man takes over. It prevents. It's like choking out the other part of me. I think we should be louder in the movie theaters. I think we should be more aggressive, dude. And this is just another side point. It still blows me away that it's more likely for a black woman to commit murder than a white man. That's not talked about enough. Maybe I just will talk about it all next stream, but it is insane to me that it is more likely, statistically more likely, that a black woman in America will commit murder than a white man. That's crazy. That is insane. Well, but we got some more Indian fraud though. Got some more Indian fraud from the Tyler Oliveira himself, and we have two. We have one, him investigating a company called Kobit's Tech Support, something like that, or Tech Systems, and then he has another one where he was actually confronted in Portugal. So we'll watch both of those. Here's the first one. This is from Wall Street Apes, who clipped it, and I won't look at any much of the captions, but here's the video, and more fraud from Oliveira, and he should keep going, and he should never shave. If you're thinking about shaving at all and not leaving the stash, don't. That's gay. You can literally shave everything, dude. You can shave this. You can shave this. You can even shave this. But you can never shave this portion right here. Can't. Something must remain. And it is this that must remain. Everybody knows it. You'll get rid of everything else before you know, it's like that's the last part. Never go fully shave face. Never. That is my recommendation to you guys. There's like no sound playing on this? Oh, because I turned it off.
Home. Bunch of.
Let me restart.
There is a single company, Qubits Tech Systems LLC, with
rough.
8 LCAs, all from this residential home. Bunch of software developers here making $51 an hour.
Yeah, this seems legit. Hi there, worksite inspection.
There we go, Smelly.
Who is this? Hi there, this is Tyler. I'm here to conduct a worksite inspection. Am I speaking to Hari Madiraju?
It's not.
Huh? Sorry, you cut off there.
So I am not at home, so what is this? I am in the office. Who is this speaking?
Is there another worksite that you're working from?
Yeah, 4425 West Airport.
West Airport? Okay, so there's no one working from the residential address here?
Why do they work for where is your home?
Excuse me?
Where is your home? Do you live in your home or do you live in your toilet or somewhere?
No, I don't live in my toilet, sir. So I'm only asking because the LCAs state that this is the address. Is that not the case?
No.
So you don't...
Go to my workspace. Are you from government?
No, I'm not from the government. I'm conducting an independent investigation.
If you are not for government...
Yes?
Work right now, I don't have any people, but you can go to the workplace and work there.
All right. We'll take a look at your office. Thank you. Some attitude. Yeah. But why would this guy file 8 LCAs with the worksite listed as his residential home? So we went to his office only to find a collaborative worksite and his completely empty unit. No one in their office. Hari Madiraju finessed us. Let's give him a phone
I don't even know
call.
what their names
Please
are.
leave your message for 214.
You son of a bitch.
That's funny. That's crazy. I don't even know who the guy is with him, but like the caption apparently said there was something like 16 businesses. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So the company Quibits Tech Systems in Texas, forgive me, sponsoring 16 different H-1B visas, but there's like nobody at the work site. Meaning these people probably got in on these visas on like work, but like there's no work because the job's not even real. It's sad, dude. There's so much of this. And I think what's sad about it is, again, it goes back to this whole idea that what is ultimately this like serving? And I think it helps in a small end where like people are aware and they're becoming aware. And I think Tyler does a great job the way he kind of does the videos. But at the same time, if nothing's ever going to happen and all that we ever really get for it is that we're now aware that the government gives all this money, we're aware of this fraud, but nothing ever happens to it. I mean, all it really does make people more angry about what's going on. Not to say that it's a bad thing by any means, but it also just generally adds to like the political instability, which is this idea of like, there's fraud in Texas, there's fraud in California, there's fraud in Minnesota, there's fraud in Columbus, and it's Somalian fraud, and Somalians have their own unique way of the way that they rip the government off with their programs, and then the Indians do this with the H-1Bs and the H-2, and it's all just like, holy crap. And did they start a trend? Did we now start a brand new trend? Is this now, we're now going to be expecting to see this for the entirety of the Trump administration? All these small pockets of all of these different fraudulent groups, small companies, and all probably the whole reason that they're even able to exist this way, probably none of them working, is because the government's giving them money hand over fist. And where does the government get the money? Does it just appear magically? No. They pull it from your paychecks while you work your sad wagey job, so you can pay for these people to not work and replace you and then be given government programs that should be benefiting you and your children and your family and not them. So at some point you hope the wall breaks. Like at some point someone's got to get arrested. Or if anything, at some point, like someone's going to do something more drastic. You would hope that wouldn't be the case, but I mean, if this is public information or building all these tracking websites, it's only a matter of time before these places start getting vandalized. And I think, to be quite frank, I do think one of those like quality leering centers actually already was. So, you know, justice will be served one way or another. Ultimately, that's seemingly how these things work. And sometimes it's a matter of time, and sometimes it's a matter of willpower and manpower. But, you know, karma generally comes for everybody. Well, yeah, technically, yeah. They go over here and they're like, "How much money in your account, sir?" Okay, here's 1,000. Bing, bing. You know, at the Fed, they're like, "How many more dollars do we got to type in? How many more zeros? Okay, yeah, we have money." You know, just numbers in a stupid machine. It's kind of sad. But here's the other one. This is the other video of him. He was confronted, I believe, in Portugal was the caption. And it was from this scene that I grabbed the thumbnail, or portions of the thumbnail, because they're like face to face in this. But that's his caption from him himself, and it says, "Indian tries to fight me in Portugal." They're everywhere. And remember that too. Like, what was the number? It was like every country on planet Earth could take 1 million Indians, and there would still be over 1 billion Indians in India. That is incredible. Incredible. But here it is.
Wait, why are you coming up on me? What's going on? What's going on here?
What are you doing there?
What's your name? I can't walk across the
What are you doing?
Tyler.
Don't try to
show me from you.
Don't try to be smart.
I'm not trying to be smart. You're trying to be smart.
But don't touch.
All right, then get away from me then.
But then put this off. Put this off.
No, I'm not.
Put this off. You are going.
No, I'm not
going. You are going.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
Get away from me. Get away from me.
You are going.
All right, he's already calling the shots here. Says I'm going to start. No, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
No, I'm not
What is your
going
problem?
to. You're not
Who
going
are you?
here.
Who are you?
Sorry?
Who are you?
I'm already in the authority.
I don't care. Who are you?
No,
where are you from?
Who? I don't
Where are you
care.
From? Get back up.
Oh.
Back up. Back up. Back up.
Don't touch.
What the fuck? You get the fuck away from me. How about that? You don't touch me.
Don't try to do
Don't touch me.
There's no way. Is he literally barefoot
all up
too?
in my face. Get away from me. Get the fuck away from me.
What the fuck you are talking? You don't know how to speak when you're in the.
You need to move away from me.
Sorry?
Move the fuck away.
You just get away from here.
Get away from me.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing? I'm talking to you. What is the problem?
What are you doing?
Get away from me.
What are you doing?
Get away.
What are you doing? Yeah, who are you, dong? Who do you think you are? Look right here. Look at that. Look at this. He steps in his path there. So he's at the side. And then he walks directly in front of Tyler right here. I do the same thing too, dude. I'm not going to take the chance. But it sucks when you're in a foreign country. It's like you really don't want to be playing around with something like that. But they're all barefoot, dude. Look at every single one. Either that or like the thinnest sandals of all time. And look at this guy, dude. This guy was ready to throw hands, it looks like. I'm surprised he didn't. Surprised it didn't get worse. What ends up happening here? Does he just back off?
Back up.
Don't touch.
What the fuck?
Okay, so he chased him a little
You
bit.
get the fuck away from me. How about that? You don't touch me.
Don't try to do that.
Don't touch
Who is
me.
going to touch you?
Bro, and who is this? Look at this guy. Look at this Marvel character. Look at this dude. This dude looks like he's just waiting for Batman to come into Gotham.
Get the fuck away from me. How about that? You don't.
Look at this. It's when you hit the randomizer button. Bro, you're an Indian in India. Even Indians have wiggers? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. What do you call them? I'm afraid if I say it with just the eye, it's going to sound a little too realistic. That's crazy. No shoes. That's crazy. You fucking bloody, you bloody bastard, you bloody.
Touch me.
Don't try to do that.
Don't touch
Who is going
me.
to touch you?
You are all up on my
I hate
face.
that if I grow my beard
Get
out
away
though, it
from
looks
me.
just like
Get
that.
the fuck away from me.
What the fuck you are talking? You don't know how to speak when you're in the public.
You need to move away from me.
Sorry?
When I board planes, I only take box cutters and no shoes.
Move the fuck away.
You just get away from here.
Get away from me.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing? I'm talking to you. What is the problem?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Get away from me. Get away.
What are you
What
doing?
is your problem?
What are you doing?
I'm talking to people.
What's the problem?
He's coming at me all on my chest. I'm moving him away.
Don't touch him.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. And I don't even know what this is. Like, what is that he's wearing? Looks like these are the orange Indians came to broker peace with the black Indians. Interesting. And they're in Portugal too. It's like, for one, this isn't your country, and it ain't his country either. You're on neutral ground. So who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Incredible stuff. Okay, so what's the big difference? I don't even really know, to be honest with you. You know what? I don't want to know. Don't inform me. I'd rather be ignorant. I don't even want to know. They're the same to me, actually. So they never wash their hair? That is disgusting. That is violently disgusting. But hey, I never wash my hair either. I just shave it. Because I don't have any. Get it? The Orange Goons? Yeah. They don't have Team Rocket. They have Team Orange. Crazy stuff. And I feel like there's one more thing I really wanted to cover here since we're at the end. There was, oh, yeah. It's this one. This will be the one that I'll end on here. So this was a post that went viral today. I'm assuming it went viral today, maybe a little bit last night. But this is the one that I grabbed here, and it's from this video specifically. And I know nothing I could say could premise this video, could prepare you for it, to be quite honest with you. So just take a listen to what is in this. Get ready for it. Bloods and the Crips, bro. Duh. Yeah, they got their own gangs. This is not to make you, not to anger you, but man, listen to this.
It's just been harder and harder and harder to find those people to work.
Bethany Gotts owns Quay's Farm in Mountain Home, but now with fewer workers, a lot of the manual labor is left up to her. She tells me she's tried hiring locally, but it's been difficult to find people willing to do the hard work.
Finding a legal American here that is going to work as hard as an immigrant is nearly impossible.
She even posted job openings on Facebook.
I had 7 people contact me about it, and when I sent them the description, I had no people respond.
She says hiring undocumented workers is not an option, with serious risks for both sides.
One, You're going to get fined. You have unfortunately, an employee living in fear. They could get picked up at any moment, and then you're without an employee.
To keep her farm running, Gotts is hiring high schoolers and is now looking into the federal H-2A visa program.
I have endeavored to spend $200,000 to build a small worker housing so that I can get H-2 workers next year.
So read this. Oh, forgive me, I have this. And so this is a part of it. So it takes a spot on. I don't know the exact amount that she was offering, but it was like considerably low. It was like 13 or 14 an hour or something like that for like 14-hour farm shifts. It's not, dude, the problem is not that people are unwilling to work. Like they're not willing to work for what you're willing to pay them. And this is a problem that's across the board as well. This is why many places, and again, the reason why they can get away with it and the reason why they don't have to raise the money or raise their wages is because they just will then turn around and then pay the H-1B visa workers. And House is completely right on this too. If your business can't survive without cheap foreign labor, then your business shouldn't exist. And this is where capitalism, it has to actually be reckoned with. Because this is where you would rope in socialism, right? Or the social aspect, which is to say, or the nationalist aspect, really, which is to say that America should be capitalist to a point, which is to say that your ability to search for laborers and labor stops at the borders. Meaning if you're going to have an operational business here, it needs to be employed and operated by people who work here, who operate here. And so there is an element of this, which is that capitalism is inherently, in the broadest of senses, globalist. Because again, if you're wanting to hire and make, and if you're playing it as a game, right? And it's like I can hire 10 workers for $7 an hour, or I can hire 3 workers for $20 an hour. The business that wants to become the best business will take the cheaper labor, and so it's just a very common basic equation. But pay attention to what she says here too. This is not just the only thing as well. I have endeavored to spend $200K. Her endeavoring was actually getting a grant or a match grant, I believe. So she got money from like some source to like $100K, and I believe they matched it with $100K. So she basically got money from the government to then build housing for illegals, instead of using that money as a platform to bridge your business to be able to pay the workers what they would be able to be paid if you wanted to actually hire native Idahoans or whatever they're called. But she didn't, because they refused to move the meter on paying these people for their 12 to 14-hour shifts at $8 an hour. Nobody's going to do that. The average American is smart enough to know better than to do something that retarded. That is a waste of time and energy and effort. But again, these people refuse to grasp it. They won't grasp it. And the reason why she's able to continue and not have to actually change the model of her business or be concerned about having to shut her business down or close the doors is because of the government allowing the H-1Bs, allowing all of the foreign labor. If that didn't exist, she would have to compete in the business market in the United States, not competing with pitting illegals against Americans, and she's taken full advantage of it. I can't even believe this interview got aired.
Small worker housing so that I can get H-2 workers next year.
Gotts hopes for long-term solutions that support both farmers and workers.
The misnomer that farmers exploit immigrants is just so sad to me because, like I said, my friends and neighbors, we love our workers. They're our family. And they want to work, and they will work hard. And there needs to be a path for these people in our country because our government has failed them. And it is failing, I feel,
What's up,
the
son?
farmers.
So, there you have it. There you have it. It's just saying, And this is what a lot of people are faced with. And the other thing to this too is of course they're not going to even be concerned because that job to them isn't their means of living because they're already being given a bunch of other, sub-awards and other kind of obligations and grants and welfare sustenance, that the job to them isn't their income. The job to them is their ticket to be here. It's as long as they're at that job, they actually get the benefits, but the benefits aren't coming from the job. The benefits are coming from the government. So if those things weren't there, this whole thing wouldn't be even able to exist. And so she basically went on TV and put herself on camera and said, yes, I operate a business that exploits illegal immigrants and migrant labor at the complete, the complete cost of all of the people in my local area and around me. So I just, more of the same, if you will. How do you get around it? How do you, and why is this woman working on the farm anyways? And if it's a family farm, then it needs to be the family needs to be working it. And if you don't have enough children to work the family, I mean, you need to get to work, pardon the, I guess I didn't say anything too bad there. But, so is it. And so thus ends my 3-hour shift. This was a kind of a new change of what I wanted to maybe do with the show with some of the longer live streams. And because I wanted to do a bit more longer ones. So 3-hour shift, maybe I'll do a 4-hour shift as well too. So I think most streamers end up doing 4 hours. So maybe 4 hours is the sweet spot. Maybe I'll do that too. I guess maybe if you do 4 hours, you have a lot more to pull from for clips and things like that, I guess. I'm not the best clipper though. Half the time I would even think about it. Like I should be clip farming. It doesn't even enter my brain. But maybe I should. Everybody else is doing it. Maybe I'm being too authentic, and that's why I'm actually struggling to compete in the overall. But I don't know. I can be nothing but myself. I hate all that gimmicky stuff. I really do. It bothers me deeply. Thank you for the super chat, Ugantz. I appreciate it very much. He says, great show, sir. Christ is king. Indeed. Christ is king, as always. Courier says to do Tuesdays. I'm free on Tuesdays only. Okay. Well, Tuesday is given the schedule that we have, that me and my wife are going to have here. Tuesdays would be the best day to do it. And maybe I should hire an illegal immigrant to clip. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that at all. That's funny. Native Mr. Van says, W Stream should do an Asmund Gold style stream in the future. Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. That's the market I would like to compete in. I see a lot of these other guys doing it, and I also think as well, like, no way. Like, I could do that. But I look at somebody like Soda Pop and I'm like, or XQC, and I'm like, bro, I could do this. Like I could do that. Not that I don't know about all the gaming stuff, but like the commentary on like, pop culture stuff as well too. I'm cool getting into that as well. But thank you guys for being here. I do appreciate it greatly. And I'm not sure what's on the schedule for tomorrow. Tomorrow may be just another day for a video. We'll see what happens with that. But it's more than likely looking like I'll probably only be able to get a video out. I would like to stream, but if I do, it'll be short. So it's to be decided on tomorrow. Yeah, if someone can find me a 100K matching grant for a legal clipper, I will figure out a way. I will convert that into something. Find it. No bleach blonde Atlas in the future. I would never bleach my hair. If I would ever do anything with my hair, it would be to have a mohawk. And that would be just for a gimmick, if anything. But that's the end of it. I appreciate you guys as always. I can try for a long stream on Thursday. That would probably be one of the better days to try for it, to be honest with you. So maybe that's what I'm playing for. Is no stream tomorrow, but then a longer stream on Thursday. Also want to make sure, I need to get a better grasp of my schedule anyways. I'm like actually a little retarded when it comes to things like that. But a lot on the plate too. The Kyle Kalinske look, dude. My friend compared me to. He's like, you could be like the Kyle Kalinske for Nick Fuentes, and I literally was like fighting. I was fighting deep out of my soul. I'm like, I can't say nothing. Say nothing. Say nothing. I know he meant it as a compliment, so I appreciated it. But like, dude, Kyle Kalinske, I can't stand him. And I liked how he changed his set after Nick made fun of him too. I thought that was hilarious. No Jufro. No. That's Josh's thing. But I appreciate you guys greatly. Best community this side of YouTube. And I don't want to name him because I don't know if he wants to be named or blow up his spot. But best community on this side of YouTube. I got gifted Crimson Desert, the deluxe edition, mind you, too, on Steam by a great fan and a great contributor here in the community. So I wanted to say publicly too, if he's here, I probably should have said at the beginning, but if he's here, still, I thank you so much. I couldn't believe it. And it's entirely way too much, like massive. The game's probably like $80 still. So he did not need to do that. But huge thank you. And If he wants to name himself, he definitely can. I just don't want to name people who might not want to be known or spotlighted or whatever. You know, I know how people feel differently about that. But it was massive and hugely I appreciate it greatly. I haven't played it yet, though, because I can't find enough space and storage space on my computer. It takes like 100 some gigs to download. I'm like at 70, 80 gigs free. It's like I have to start deleting like things I actually use in CapCut and stuff if I want to be able to play the game. So I need to go buy a hard drive anyways, or probably another SSD, to be honest with you. So regardless, I appreciate Crimson Desert. I've been super excited to play it because Tix has been in my ear about it. And a few other you guys have been talking about it too. And I'm jealous because I haven't played one in a hot minute. Yeah, if HDDs are expensive right now, I might just get a drive then. I might just go old school. I got plenty of space in it. I have one of these, what are they called? XMs. My tower is massive. It barely fits under this desk. Because it was sold as one of like, are you trying to build a server? And so it's like all these slots for drives and everywhere. I didn't do the announcements though, to be honest with you. Yeah, time to clear out no. That's funny. But obviously, sponsor of the show. Massive thank you to them. We're getting there. Athenor Metallurgy. Go check them out if you have not already. We'll get it eventually. There we go. Athenor Metallurgy. Go check them out. AthenorLLC.com for your custom 3D printed light boxes, designs, coins, necklaces. They got a bunch of different things that they can whip up for you. As long as you're base, they don't deal with woke. No, I don't want to speak on that. But no, they are. They're great to work with, and then Rex has been nothing but nice. Make sure you also smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe if you followed the whole stream and you're still here, you haven't subscribed yet. What are you doing? And hopefully you guys liked Foulball Productions as well. I'm supposed to be doing the introduction, but he didn't tell me Central Time, so it was a big kerfluffle there. Zeb filled in for me. So hopefully you guys like that. I do like the idea of the Right Wing Pulse covering like small segments of conversations throughout the week. There is going to be no Groyper report as well this week because, again, there's no Nick, so there's nothing to report on. There's no Groyper to report, so nothing happened there. And as always, you know, you guys can support with super chats and then buy me a coffee. The logo's down here at the bottom too. You can do that as well. So, but with all that, we appreciate it greatly. Crisis King, as always. And remember, we're not doing deportations. Mass deportations are over. They said, don't worry about it. The illegals are here to stay. Mass amnesty. They said, you got to take the brown people. We said, no, but they did it anyways. So now the call and command is to impeach Donald Trump, impeach everybody, impeach the entire administration. I don't even care. Impeach his children. I literally don't care. Impeach literally everybody. And yeah, and for women, since we can't do the deportations, I don't know what we're going to do with these heifers. You're women over 150 pounds. Like, I'm going to have to buy your flight ticket out of here because we're not doing the deportations. I got to pay for it. So now I'm even more mad that you're fat. But no. And if you are anywhere between 100 and 150 pounds, this is your 90-day notice to lose the weight, or we are going to find you and do something. I'll have to think about it. I can't do the deportation thing anymore because we're not doing the deportation, so it doesn't stick anymore. We'll figure it out. Outro is imminent, though. Appreciate you guys greatly. Seek first the kingdom of God. Jesus loves you, and Christ is King. Never black pill. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out.